to speak to a licensed insurance agent about Medicare Advantage plans and compare rates from national carriers.
I'm on Medicare and recently moved, so I called to make sure to find a plan in my new community.
I just became eligible for Medicare, so I called to find a plan that fits my budget.
One call to compare options from multiple carriers. It's your health, your peace of mind, and your time. Make the most of it today.
For a free, no-obligation consultation, call 800-549-9841. That's 800-549-9841.
Folks, it's finally here at 10:42 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be the first day of summer kickoff, and it's finally sunny in New York City. Instead of raining the entire weekend, forecasters say sunny summer 2025 is going to be a hot one. And you know, folks, the thing is, it can damage your skin or cause dehydration and possibly prompt life-threatening or deadly illnesses, even if you're healthy. So be smart about being in the sun and focus on drinking plenty of water and using sunscreen.
All of the above. And if the summer means trips to the beach, today marks the 50th anniversary of the most famous shark movie of them all, Jaws.
Dun, dun,
The
dun,
film,
dun, 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 dun,
even
dun,
though it scared a lot of people right out of the ocean, remains one of the most rewatched movies of all time. And I agree.
How many times have you watched it?
I don't know. A lot. A lot. And when I first saw it, I was really young, and it scared me to no end.
Okay, I have a trivia question for the Borellis.
See.
Which movie did the Borellis watch the most? Jaws or Die Hard?
Gladiator.
Really?
Gladiator.
Wow, I would have never guessed that.
Die Hard is in there too.
Totally. I've watched that practically every Christmas, right?
You have to. It's a Christmas movie.
But Jaws, I've definitely watched several times.
Yeah.
I don't know, why do we do that? We already know what the people are going to say when it happens.
But it's entertaining, I think.
I guess when nothing else is on and you're flipping through the channels and you just said, you know what, I'll just watch
That's
Jaws.
what it comes down to in the Borelli house.
Well, we appreciate you flipping the channels and stopping on First Edition. But folks, that does it for us today.
We will see you bright and early on Monday.
You're watching theDove TV, encouraging and informative for Monterey and the Central California coast. Seen on Channel 14 and these.
Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove, the first day of summer. I'm wearing a sweater, he's wearing a wool vest.
Yes.
And it's 60% chance of rain. Look at this picture.
Welcome, summer, yes.
Welcome to Oregon summer. Wait 15 minutes. Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Friday to you. Jerry's here, and this is his therapy room.
Pam said amen.
Yeah, this is where he gets his therapy, and I'm his therapeutic psychological coach.
There you go.
Interpreting the things that he hopes that are true.
Do we have patient-doctor privilege here?
You know, so far, if you notice, you're still in therapy after all this time.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Friday. Boy, a lot in the news. Very tense times around the world. Some of it's very serious. We'll talk about that. Our own legislature is getting close to leaving. They couldn't get out of town fast enough for some of the nonsense that's going on. And we'll show you some. You won't believe it. It made national news. It's absolutely disgusting. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. The weather, it's kind of interesting today and tomorrow. We have 60% chance of rain to bring in summer.
Yeah, right.
While we're still dealing with some fires out there.
Yeah. Well, this will help the situation, obviously.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So, what's going on?
Well, you mentioned it. It's the first day of summer. It obviously, summer begins in the northern hemisphere. It's the longest day of the year, also known as summer solstice. So you have more sunlight, more daylight on this day than any other day of the year. So whatever you got on your list, get out and do it, because you got time. Also, National Seashell Day. Did you know that there's a name for people who pick up seashells? They're called shellers. Shellers are beachcombers who collect seashells by scouring the beaches for the gems left behind by snails and mollusks. So if you are a sheller, enjoy. It's your day. Also, National Take Your Dog to Work Day, a celebration of companionship between canine and human. It basically hopes to inspire others to adopt from shelters and humane societies. So we've heard some of the statistics, some of the numbers of how many available pets there are in these shelters. So if you are so inclined, go adopt one. Also,
I did bring my dog. I did. Excuse me, back. I did bring my dog to work.
Oh yeah, your dog is well behaved.
No, I did bring the dog to work this morning.
Oh, really?
It's called Jerry.
Thanks. It's nice being here. Well, you have brought your dog to work, and like I said, your dog's well behaved. I could never get away with it. And I got a really nice letter from someone who agrees and said, we have dogs kind of like yours.
Oh, yeah. Oh, do you?
Yeah. We can't take them anywhere.
No, that's okay. Well, it all depends on the mood of my dog.
Oh, yeah.
I have a dog that is kind of interesting. Beautiful dog. We love her to death.
She is.
But she turned 6. She's an English setter. Mm-hmm. That's our third one through the years.
Yeah.
And she turns into a poodle at 5. 5 o'clock, she wants to be fed and cuddled. So what do you do? What do you do with this 45-pound thing in your lap?
Pet it. Okay, it's National Queen Amman Day. Queen Amman. It celebrates a round, crusty cake made with a yeast-raised dough. And if you like croissants and you like glazed donuts, you love Queen Amman. I've never even heard of it. Yeah, it's a flaky, buttery texture of the croissant, and it meets a sugary topping of a donut. And it comes from the Breton word for cake, queen, and butter, Amman. And it's been around for a long time, and I still have never tasted it. So enjoy. And we got a couple things to drink. National Ice Cream Soda Day.
Ooh.
The simple ingredients of ice cream and soda make this one of the easiest things to make and enjoy. And boy, a lot of soda fountain jerks. And I don't say that,
No.
meanly or anything. Mm-hmm. Soda fountain jerks have been serving this for a long time, and it's really good. The only decision you have to make when you sit down is, do I want an ice cream soda or do I want a vanilla milkshake? Because it's also National Vanilla Milkshake Day.
That's my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
so many calories in it, though. But
I know.
I sure like them.
There used to be more calories and a little bit more danger to them. Did you know that the very first Frosty Vanilla milkshake showed up in print for the first time in 1885? It consisted of cream, eggs, and whiskey. I'm not kidding.
Well, now there you go.
But
no wonder everybody liked it.
But by the early 1900s, soda fountains introduced milk-based drinks that were more kid-friendly without that extra ingredient. Wow. Hallelujah.
I didn't know that one.
Yes. So, okay.
Is that why all the men went to the ice cream socials?
Apparently so. Honey, I'm going to get an ice cream soda.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Get out of here. Anyway.
Well, I like ice cream, vanilla shakes made with real ice cream.
Yeah.
Now, I've had them with frosty ice cream.
Frosty. Oh,
like you go through Dairy Queen and get one.
Okay. You want hard ice cream. Scoop, not the. Okay.
And I like if I was going to get particular, probably the vanilla bean turned into a milkshake. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. Well, it's a good
really
thing.
Good, but boy, they're so full of calories. But what a weakness.
Well, if you had a lot of ice cream, vanilla milkshake materials at home, you might have to guard your house. You have to have a security system, and security systems are very common these days. Mm-hmm. People have got cameras everywhere. People can watch their cameras on their smartphones.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. But how about in the olden days in feudal Japan, where you had samurais and you had, and so how would you rig a security system, especially if you are a feudal lord? Well, they used to design it into their floorboards. Did you know that squeaky floors were the best home security in 17th century Japan? Yeah, you'd expect Japanese feudal lords to live in pristine houses with the sturdiest of materials, and it's mostly true, except for their squeaky, creaky floors. It's called a nightingale floor, and they were flooring systems that actually chirped when somebody walked on it. They were installed in temples and places to alert, those residents of intruders. The floors were built in a way that the flooring nails rubbed against jackets or clamps, causing squeaking noises. The very first security system in 17th century Japanese houses.
Wow.
You know what? I got to tell you the truth. Do you have any squeaky areas of your floor? Yeah. You know, I got one. And you put in the good subflooring and everything. It's supposed to take, with the BCI beams and this. And I got one spot in our bedroom when I walk up to my dresser to get, some socks or something, and I walk up, and I know where that spot is because I know if I step on it, I have a slim chance of waking Pam up. So I walk, and obviously this is, and I step around it, and I'll come through the dark, and I go, there's the spot. And I go around that thing, step over it, go get
That means your house is settling.
Is that it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's only one spot in the whole house.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's usually in a high traffic area, too.
I'm getting a lot of socks.
Well, here's a guy, if you call him too early, he squeaks.
Thanks to our friends at Grange Co-op, here's a look at our Friday weather. In northern Oregon and southern Washington, showers with the possibility of thunderstorms after 11 a.m. and daytime highs in the low 60s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with showers likely and the possibility of thunderstorms after 11 a.m. with daytime high temperatures in the low 60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene. In central Oregon, partly sunny with a chance of showers, breezy, and highs in the low 60s in Prineville and mid-50s for Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny, then a slight chance of showers in mid-70s. Along the Oregon coast, showers and possibly thunderstorms in low 60s for Coos Bay and Port Orford, showers in low 50s in Brookings, and rain likely after 11 a.m. and mid-50s in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, rain likely with a high near 64 in Grants Pass, partly sunny with a chance of rain in low to mid-60s in Medford and upper 50s in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny, breezy, and near 60. Into northern California, partly sunny with a slight chance of rain and a high in the mid-60s in Wairika. Sunny and breezy with a high in the upper 70s in Redding and low 80s in Chico and Sacramento with gusts up to 21 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, sunny and breezy with highs in the low to mid-70s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 64 and a west wind gusting up to 34 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny, breezy, and near 70. A look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
All right, good morning to you. And there's a look of the Southern Oregon Rogue Valley on this first day of summer with some clouds over the top. And as we just heard from Squeaky, it's got a 60% chance of rain today and tomorrow. So there we go. So this is good. They've still got some remnants of the fires out there. So hopefully this will help get things under control, give us a little moisture on the ground. So great stuff.
Here's a question, and it's rhetorical. Where is your love and devotion going? Well, here is some encouragement from Pastor Jack Graham.
Give him the first devotion, the first love of your heart. Jesus spoke to a church at Ephesus who had left their first love, and he said, I have this against you, that you've left your first love. First love is emotional and passionate. You might call it the honeymoon love. It's the brush and the blush of first love. And we are to maintain that in our marriages, our love and our devotion to one another. If your love is not growing in your relationship with your husband or wife, it's probably dying. So we cultivate that relationship and that love, and we ought to be loving each other more and more. As we grow older, we shouldn't be growing colder, but more loving and warm and passionate towards one another and kind. And what is true in a human relationship is true in our relationship with God. Jesus said, not that you've lost your first love, but you've left it behind. And so we should give our first love for Jesus above all other loves in our lives, that we would love him. So let me ask you then, do you trust him with all your heart? To know him is to love him. And to love him is to trust him. And to trust him is to obey him and do what he tells us to do? Have you given your life completely to him? That's really what this message is about.
Profound and simple at the same time.
Yep.
Do you love him? If you do, obey him. And if you obey him, you're trusting him. So, all right, good morning to you. 12 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. This is really interesting. Just late yesterday evening, the Ninth Circuit ruled in favor of the president. Now, this is absolutely amazing. This is a huge win.
Yes.
It was really interesting because yesterday morning, I was talking to Mark Miller. Mark Miller is the senior legal attorney for the Pacific Legal Foundation, which is one of the watchdog organizations. They have had quite a few cases before the Supreme Court. And we were talking about this, and here's what Mark had to say about the president winning the case appealed by, listen to this, the Ninth Circuit said yes to the president. He has the power to control the National Guard. And here's what Mark had to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent question, and I think it may be going to the Supreme Court, Perry. You know, the president decided as commander-in-chief that he would, the verb is federalize, that he would take the state National Guard for California and order them as commander-in-chief to get out in the streets of Los Angeles and make sure to, stop any civil unrest, to do so peaceably, but to be there to make it clear that violence was not the way we do protests in the United States. Nonviolent protests like Martin Luther King is what we prefer. Governor Newsom said, no, this is the California National Guard, and if I don't want to go along with that, then I get the final word. He doesn't really have any leg to stand on. Surprisingly, a trial judge, a district judge in San Francisco said he was right, but the appeals court in California, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, had argument earlier this week, and they indicated they're going to rule for the president, that we have precedent going back 150, almost to the beginning of the country, 150 years, 200 years, that says, no, the president's commander-in-chief, you may disagree with his decision, but he has the final say in when the National Guard is used to quell civil unrest.
There you go. Well, that's exactly what the Ninth Circuit did late yesterday evening. They ruled in favor of the president and his authority to regulate the National Guard and nationalize the National Guard is in place.
Yeah, and it also shines the light on that district court judge in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I mean, here we see this judicial activism going on and on and on, and here's another case of it. Is there any recourse on this other than overturning it with do these guys ever get reviewed or?
Well, I was talking to Mark Miller about that very case, all of these district courts interrupting the president. He truly believes a couple of things, that the Supreme Court will weigh in on it.
Okay. Yeah.
And say that we're going to have to redescribe what district means.
Okay.
And then it has to be codified by Congress.
Okay.
He thinks it's so bad now and so obvious now.
And so obvious, yeah.
That it has to be dealt with.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, then late yesterday afternoon, CIA Director John Ratcliffe said that privately now, he has warned people that Iran is dangerously close to the nuclear bombs and nuclear weapons, and an assessment that he had looked at. Now, this seems to be a little bit in contrast with the U.S. intelligence community. So you got a little bit of an interesting thing going on inside the administration. You got the CIA director say, hey, wait a minute, they probably could put one together. And the intelligence agency saying, well, wait a minute, let's, other parts of the agency saying, well, we need to take it out before they do. So the president said yesterday, publicly, I will make my decision within 2 weeks. Now, that's the closest we've heard on the timeline.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It could mean today.
Right. Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
The pressure on the president right now by his advisors and others to get involved is pretty significant. I think what the president is trying to do is two things. He's saying, well, I'm going to leave the door open for negotiation. Well, he slammed the door, now he reopened the door.
Yeah.
They're not going to come to the table, and I think he knows that.
Right.
I think he's waiting for them to publicly say something. Okay. Secondly, I think what the president's trying to figure out to not get us drawn into a long war. And third, he's got to be able to tell the American people what the exit plan is.
Oh, yeah.
If we go in, how are we going to get out?
Right. Yeah.
Or 4, he does nothing because he's convinced that Israel's on the right track to take care of it.
Well, and that's a possibility because Netanyahu did mention that he said, we have the capabilities of doing this ourselves.
Okay, so what does that mean? Does that mean boots on the ground?
I don't know.
Okay, so we don't know what that is over there, but in the meantime, it's very clear coming out of Israel that let me just deal with the rhetoric, that a regime change is inevitable.
Yeah.
Now, when and how that happens, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because Netanyahu spoke into that as well. He said this was not our intention, but it's certainly a possibility.
Well, after the hospital strike, it raised the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, on another big story, the ICE agency now, they're doing a little bit of a survey, and since ICE is being used to go in and bring about, going after illegals, now this is very controversial. ICE agents now have faced 500% increase on assaults.
Oh, man.
Now, assaulting an ICE agent is a federal offense.
They're federal officers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, isn't it interesting that you don't see a lot of arrests of the people attacking ICE?
Right, and we don't hear that I word, insurrection, that keeps throwing out anytime the Republicans go out, or it doesn't go the way they want. But this looks like an insurrection to me.
Well, what this has sparked is investigation. Who's funding it?
Oh, yes, yeah.
And there seems to be a pattern. They don't all break out at once. They break out like days apart.
Okay.
And what's being suggested now, they're literally moving people around the country. Now, I don't know how this is being done.
Yeah.
All right, but the other thing I wanted to ask you to take a look at, do you see any older adults in these?
No, yeah, that's a good point, yeah. Right.
You'll see 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But these are all, look like they're all young college people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, anyway, a 500% increase in assault on ICE agency. Where is this going to go? Now, you got to remember, the mob rule is mob rule, and it has to be put down.
Right.
But it's being told, well, it's a dictator doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's righteous. Yeah.
One last little thing. Radar, being what it is, has shown that China has had several 747s leaving China and going to Iran. What are they taking over there?
That's a great question, especially tying into this report that we got from CIA head that they're close to getting a nuke.
Are these guys supplying
materials? Yeah, right.
So China now obviously has great interest in this. It's called OIL. Okay. So China is sending 747s. Isn't it interesting all these guys are flying American aircraft?
Yes, yeah.
They're flying 747s from China to Iran. What's in them?
Yeah.
Okay, and they're going back and forth. And the question, are they nuclear warheads? Are they missile with nuclear warheads on it?
Are they components that they can complete their own? I don't know.
I would have to say, given the war, these are probably missiles with nuclear warheads on them, which immediately puts them in play.
Wow, that would be shocking, and that would be a very, very interesting and extremely bold step on the part of the Chinese government.
It would, and there's a way to take care of China.
How?
Sanctions.
Yeah.
Brings them to their knees.
Yeah, okay.
You don't have to fire a shot and you take them out, so to speak. But if these planes have missiles with nuclear warheads on them, and Iran's over there in their boldness saying, we're going to take care of you guys and we're going to eliminate you. Well, how can they do that if they haven't developed the bomb? And so far the missiles haven't been that successful. So here comes China with a bunch of airplanes. What's in them? What if? I'm not trying to be fearful, but the high probability of China sending a nuclear-head missile over there is probably pretty high.
What would happen, say that Israel decided, we're not going to allow this, and they neutralize one of those cargo planes?
They're going to neutralize everything they can that's on the ground. And I think that if the plane's on the ground, that's how you neutralize it. Okay. So you don't neutralize it in the air.
Right. Okay.
You can, you can neutralize it on the ground.
That makes sense.
And you know that the president and the Prime Minister are on the phone about every 10 minutes. So something's going on. We don't know what it is. The president's kicked the ball out by 2 weeks, but he's also put a limit on himself. What's going to happen at the end of 2 weeks?
Oh, yeah. Well, good point. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see where this all goes. Anyway, those are the top stories on this first day of summer on this Friday. And we have more stuff coming up in just a few moments.
What if your next ride was more than just a ride?
What if it was an epic adventure filled with unforgettable memories?
At Panoramic Moto Tours, we take you beyond the ordinary, offering curated routes, privately guided with all the details handled.
Our passion is to share the joy of riding incredible roads, exploring new sights and towns, and connecting with others and sharing our stories.
Sound good to you?
What are you waiting for? Let's create your custom tour, or join us on one of our upcoming tours.
The Lost Coast and Trinity Alps, May 16th through the 19th, or the Oregon Coast and Cascades Tour, June 22nd through the 26th. Just click the Tours tab at panoramicmototours.com or call 541-622-3844.
Panoramicmototours.com. Your next adventure starts here.
Big ideas grow.
And while I was out solving other people's problems, trying to make communities safe, my baby brother was murdered at the age of 17. And it just took me in a dark place. And I asked God, please, help me find purpose in this pain. I pray to God, give me wisdom of discernment to make sense of all this. How can we try to make a difference in this world?
Friday on the 700 Club, right here on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. It's 24 minutes past the hour. Let me set this story up because I really don't want to bring it. But it's national news. And it has to do with our Oregon legislature. Now, let me set this up. We're at the end of the session, so they're going to sine die here in the next day or so, which means the House and the Senate both called the gavel to the end of the session. Yesterday was a Juneteenth Day, which is a recognition of freedom of slavery, Emancipation Day. And June is Pride Month. Now, the interesting thing about Pride Month is that it was probably least celebrated this time than we've seen in a long time. Remember in the Obama and the Biden administration, they put the rainbow colors on the White House. That wasn't the case this go around. You got it being purged from the military. But yesterday, this is so disgusting and so embarrassing, it's hard. But yesterday, our Oregon legislature in the House of Representatives invited 2 black drag queens to come in and perform. And it's hard to watch this, but they were pantomiming to a song.
Right, yeah, they're lip syncing,
And these are 2 black drag queens performing on our House floor in Oregon. And this made national news. This is absolutely disgusting. Now, there's a couple things here that are a little bit encouraging. If you look out across, not every seat was filled.
Right.
A lot of people boycotted it, okay? This should result in the Speaker of the House being recalled. This is disgusting. Now, the defense is, well, we've had all kinds of performances in the House.
Come on.
And you know what? I've been up there where they've had various expressions of stuff. Okay, so I guess that is somewhat of a legitimate thing. But this was performed standing ovation by those who were in there.
Yeah.
This happened in our Oregon House of Representatives, and even the National News Network picked it up and thought it was disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
This is your legislature, folks, and I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It's disgusting, and somehow it was legitimized, and I don't know why I don't know. I guess I could go off on it like anybody else, but I'll just let the video speak for itself.
Yeah, and the country looks at us and says, "What have you lost?
What have you done?" And you know, there's one obvious question, and I guess it could go to any kind of entertainment that you have on the House floor.
Okay.
I thought the House floor is for the people's business, not entertainment.
Thank you. Yes.
I mean, can it be simple?
Yeah.
You're there to do the people's business. No. This is serious stuff. Now, the bad part about this one is this was political activism.
Oh, yeah, on steroids, yes.
It's political activism. Yeah. And so, but in the Oregon House, it's unbelievable. One other quick story, and we'll move on here. The president is no respecter of anybody. Even Fox News.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
He said the crooked Fox News polls got it wrong in the election, and they got it wrong again. And he was griping at Fox News because they came out with a survey that said 53% of the majority approved the handling of the south border and 46 disapproved. He said that's just baloney. Yeah. When most national polls showed up around 80-something%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Fox comes out with 53%.
Yeah, I would have to see the wording of that poll.
Well, it's a push poll.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's like I said, he has no problem. He just called him out, crooked Fox News.
Yeah.
You got to love it, because you just don't know which way the roller coaster is going to go.
Right.
You know?
Is Fox moving to the left?
Well, Fox is becoming light in the loafers.
Okay.
It's the only way I can say it. Okay. They're not quite all the way over there. But
that's good.
That's the only way I can say it. Okay. Now, that expression does talk about somebody that's clear over on the LGBTQ side. Right. I don't mean that, but I mean, how else do you describe it? You know, they are softening. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I like the first one.
The light in the loafers?
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
All right.
All right, let's take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's going on out there. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. And we're enjoying, look at this rain over the top of us.
Absolutely.
And we're talking today and tomorrow, 60% chance.
They've even upped it now since we sat down. Now they're saying 75% chance.
Today?
It's increasing, yes.
Okay. This is good for the fires, and it's certainly good. We need a little settling of the dust. So thank you, Lord, for the first day of summer being with rain. Good stuff.
Yeah, we're going to see some clearing happening on Sunday, though. So if you guys have church outside, the only question is going to be, is the ground too wet to go out there? Because it's going to be a nice day on Sunday. We're going through that dilemma right now at church. We're trying to figure out which way are we going.
I bet you go in.
Yeah, you know.
It's a little chilly.
It's a little chilly. It's
early in the
be
morning.
A little moist, and it's tough for musicians to carry all their stuff and get out there in the cold. And
then you try.
But I'm not complaining.
Well, you just did.
Come on. You know, we like church outside, but, you know, it's under the right conditions.
I know.
Yeah, so anyway.
You guys have a beautiful amphitheater.
Oh, it's wonderful out there. Okay, well, we keep looking at our president, and now he's at least put a time limit on 2 weeks out. He's going to decide whether we strike or not. With this in mind, former Trump Deputy National Security Advisor K.T. McFarland discusses two critical factors that Trump is considering before giving the order to strike, and did this on Varney and Company.
Not with this Ayatollah. He's doubled down. He said no. Now remember, he's 86 years old. He's dying of cancer. He's a true revolutionary. He'll die with the cause. But you have to think, are there other things going on behind the scenes? One thing that was really fascinating was that President Trump yesterday said, well, they want to come to the White House to meet with me. And then it was immediately denied by the Iranians. So you wonder, are there other people in the inner circle who are putting out feelers through third parties to say, okay, we see where this is going. We want to negotiate some kind of a solution. They know they got to get rid of the nukes. I've been in the Situation Room with President Trump in the first term when he was making the decision about bombing the Syrian airfields over the chemical weapons attack. He is at his finest hour in a situation like this. He goes around, he gets all the information, the situation report, he gets the options, and then he makes the decision. He'll make the decision in his head, but he'll wait till the last possible moment to execute it. So I think what he's waiting for are two things right now. One, How much further is Israel going to degrade Iran's capabilities to retaliate? So either leadership or additional missile strikes, so that they really have no ability to retaliate no matter what. And then he's also going to wait for, I think, is a phone call coming from Tehran, not from the Ayatollah. He's going down with the ship. He's dead man walking. But is there somebody else who's thinking maybe this is the time to negotiate and have some kind of a prospective Iran left over?
Wow.
Which would suggest a mutiny.
Yes. Yes.
So it would suggest a mutiny inside Iran.
Right.
Okay, and they would take out the Ayatollah.
Absolutely.
So the president has time on his side, but time in Iran means continued development. And he has to rely on Israel to limit that. Okay. The other thing is, you realize that President Trump has this whole war in his hands?
Yeah.
He's got the whole thing in his hand. They're not talking to Netanyahu. He's just executing his plan.
Right.
But the future of this whole thing is sitting in the hands of the president right now. So I think he loves that position. But the point being is that I think she makes a good thing. But can you trust the lieutenant of a general who thinks the same way? Other than they may value life more than the Ayatollah does, and they'd want to live. This could be a reason that we're going to die here.
Yeah.
Do we want to die with the Ayatollah, or do we want to give this a chance to maybe live another day?
Right, because as she pointed out, the Ayatollah is going to go down with the ship.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All right, 27 past the hour, and what do we have today? Anything?
All right, what are we eating today? We got vanilla milkshakes and we got ice cream sodas.
How did I forget vanilla milkshakes? Oh gosh, you just ruined my Friday. It's called self-control.
Yeah, well, you know, it always comes into play, doesn't it?
It's called put the flesh down.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
You can see the stars align, but I know that it's more than timing. I believe it goes just happen like that, happen like that, happen like that.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Live the adventure with Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions. Discover your wild side in the heart of the Pacific Northwest with Hellgate's high-speed spins, stunning Rogue River scenery, and incredible wildlife sightings. It's an experience like no other. Plus, you can enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, a place where families connect, friends unite, and the river brings it all to life. Visit Hellgate.com to book your adventure. Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Welcome back. 24 minutes before the hour on this first day of summer with some rain and sweaters. And
yeah.
You got fluffy vests on there.
That's
all that.
right.
Anyway, look, hot and heavy in the Middle East. Let's check in with CBN News Watch and get caught up.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Wendy Griffith.
We begin with coverage in the Middle East. On Thursday, President Trump announced he will make a decision on Iran within 2 weeks. As Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, his decision will have a decisive impact on the direction of Israel's war with Iran.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt delivered the president's message.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
Early today, an Iranian missile struck a residential building in the Israeli town of Beersheba. On Thursday, Iran hit a hospital in the same town and a residential neighborhood in Tel Aviv. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the site of the hospital.
We're targeting military sites. We're targeting nuclear sites. We're targeting missile sites. They're targeting a hospital. In this hospital, there are patients who are immobile. They can't even move. Right next to it is a children's ward, a baby's ward, infants. They target it.
The IDF suspects at least one Iranian missile carried multiple warheads or cluster bombs. That could create a problem for Israel because missiles with multiple warheads can pose a more difficult challenge for air defense systems like Israel's Iron Dome. The IDF continues to destroy Iranian missile launchers many times just before launching. Netanyahu addressed whether or not President Trump will decide to enter the war.
President Trump will do what's best for America. I trust his judgment. He's a tremendous friend, a tremendous world leader, a tremendous friend of Israel and the Jewish people.
Netanyahu added the U.S. is already helping a lot in defending Israel by helping to destroy incoming Iranian missiles, drones, and UAVs. Meanwhile, Israel continues its relentless bombing campaign, including hitting the Iraq heavy water reactor. Military expert, former IDF Major Elliot Shodaf marvels at what the Israeli Air Force has accomplished in less than a week.
This is unprecedented, and it's not a word that I use lightly, because it was not only taking out their air defense capability, but much more the complete clearing of what is the only battlefield today, which is the air battlefield. And so this is a one-front air war that we've never really seen anything like this in the Arab-Israeli conflict, but nothing on this scale where we, once again, have basically cleared the skies for the Israeli Air Force that's operating at will over Iran, allowing us to pick and choose our targets and damage and destroy them at will.
But Shodaf believes Israel may still need what the U.S. has in its arsenal to destroy Iran's deep underground nuclear facility at Fordow, including bunker-busting bombs and the planes to carry them.
The one thing that Israel absolutely does not have is the strategic bomber capability that the B-2 and even the B-52, but certainly the B-2 provides. Somebody asked me recently, why doesn't Israel build its own bunker busters? And the answer is because we don't have any aircraft that can carry it.
In the U.S., crowds celebrated in New Jersey as former Israeli-American hostage Edan Alexander came home, a little over a month after he was released from captivity in Gaza. But for now, here in Israel, the goal of wiping out Iran's nuclear program remains the top concern. The White House says Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a couple of weeks if Ayatollah Khamenei gave the go-ahead. Now Israel and the world await President Trump's decision on potential U.S. involvement.
And Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, great to see you today. What are some Israelis feeling about the U.S. entering the war?
Well, Wendy, they're eager. They'd love to see the United States come in. It could change the length of the war from weeks to days, and it would help Israel. Israel, as we said in the report, it could destroy the nuclear site at Fordow because they have those strategic bombers like the B-2 and the B-52 and that massive ordnance penetrator called the MOP, a 30,000-pound bomb. It also would reduce the threat of missile attacks here in Israel. And I think it would be a tremendous morale boost to the people of Israel that have been really fighting Iran on its own. Although I would say that U.S. is providing a lot of defensive help, a lot of munitions. So there's a great help that the U.S. is doing. They would like to see here in Israel just more offensive help with those unique munitions that the U.S. possesses?
Well, I think there's just a lot going on we don't know about. I can't help but think that the president and the prime minister are coordinated, and the president has to make a decision, do I go now?
Yeah. Are they talking every day, do you think?
Well, I'm sure their teams are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
How that filters down through the various departments, I don't know. But, something of this magnitude. I think the one thing the president really needs to be credited with, he just doesn't want to get in without getting out.
Oh, yeah.
And the president's going to have to go before the American people. And I asked you the other day, does he go to the American people before he strikes, after he strikes, or as he is striking? And I think, I'm not the president, but just looking at what pieces of the puzzle, I would go to before the American people as I was striking.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I would say something like, I just gave the order.
Right.
Here's the reason.
Right.
Here's our goal. And here's our exit plan.
Right.
He needs to have those 4 elements when he comes before the American people.
You should be advising him.
No.
You should. And you know what? And what this does, too, is it completes transparency, because this president is a very transparent.
Very transparent.
Yeah, he talks to the press all the time. There's, he lets it all out there. But it doesn't allow him to reveal his plans before they happen.
No, and this isn't something you do before the press. This is something you do out of the Oval Office as an address to the nation.
Yes.
You don't have the press in the room.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you tell them to go over and have a vanilla milkshake.
Yeah.
Kind of like I'm telling Jerry to do with the weather right now.
Okay.
Thanks to our friends at Grange Co-op, here's a look at our Friday weather. In northern Oregon and southern Washington, showers with the possibility of thunderstorms after 11 a.m. and daytime highs in the low 60s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with showers likely and the possibility of thunderstorms after 11 a.m. with daytime high temperatures in the low 60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene. In central Oregon, partly sunny with a chance of showers, breezy, and highs in the low 60s in Prineville and mid-50s for Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny, then a slight chance of showers in mid-70s. Along the Oregon coast, showers and possibly thunderstorms in low 60s for Coos Bay and Port Orford, showers in low 50s in Brookings, and rain likely after 11 a.m. and mid-50s in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, rain likely with a high near 64 in Grants Pass, partly sunny with a chance of rain in low to mid-60s in Medford and upper 50s in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny, breezy, and near 60. Into northern California, partly sunny with a slight chance of rain and a high in the mid-60s in Wairika. Sunny and breezy with a high in the upper 70s in Redding and low 80s in Chico and Sacramento with gusts up to 21 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, sunny and breezy with highs in the low to mid-70s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 64 and a west wind gusting up to 34 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny, breezy, and near 70. A look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
All right, a beautiful day, and there's a shot that's live off of Roxanne looking westward. The camera is now panning from the north to the south, and cloud cover and the possibility of rain. We certainly welcome that on the first day of summer, and that certainly will help with some of the fires that are still being worked on.
Well, we look at tensions around the globe, and you wonder what kind of communications are taking place between world leaders, not only those who are allied with one another, but those who are opposing one another. But it was on this day in history that a large step was taken to help reduce Cold War tensions between the two global superpowers.
In the tense aftermath of the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962, the world had come terrifyingly close to nuclear war. For 13 days, the United States and the Soviet Union stood locked in a standoff over Soviet missile installations in Cuba, missiles capable of reaching American cities in minutes. President John F. Kennedy ordered a naval blockade, calling it a quarantine, while Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev sent ships towards Cuba. With global tensions at their peak, the slightest miscommunication could have sparked World War III. Ultimately, diplomacy prevailed. The Soviets agreed to withdraw their missiles. The U.S. pledged not to invade Cuba. But the crisis revealed a chilling truth. There was no fast, direct way for Washington and Moscow to talk during a nuclear emergency. To prevent such a scenario from ever happening again, the two superpowers agreed on June 20th, 1963 to establish the Hotline, a 24-hour direct communication link between the White House and the Kremlin. President Kennedy called it the first step toward preventing war by accident or miscalculation. Installed just months later, the system symbolized a small but vital shift: dialogue over destruction. Thankfully, the hotline never had to prevent a nuclear war, but its quiet presence helped keep the Cold War from turning hot.
Hence the ticker tape.
Yeah, and because it wasn't actually a phone, it was actually a teletype machine.
Yeah.
And so
that was in all newsrooms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, AP was the other one.
In the good old days.
Yeah, and you go in there and you rip and read them.
So now what's happened to the hotline? That obviously technology has passed it by. Are world leaders on these?
Could be.
Yeah,
they probably have secure satellite systems.
I wonder, and do these world leaders, do they exchange contact information? So it goes ding, 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 and the president goes, oh, it's Vladimir.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we had that problem with the information going to the guy with the Atlantic.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So how secure is it?
Yeah. Well, it depends on who you send your text to. You got to check the thread to see who's on it, man.
So if I text for a vanilla shake and Putin shows up, what do I do?
You got the wrong number.
I got the wrong number. We'll be right back.
Flag Armory offers top brand affordable rifles, shotguns, handguns, and gear. We also offer an array of classes emphasizing safety, self-defense, and accuracy. We strive to provide the absolute best possible experience when buying a firearm. Family friendly for every skill level, Black Flag Armory in Midford and Grants Pass. Online at blackflagarms.com or 541-499-0779. 541-499-0779.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
Washington Watch with Tony Perkins. Every weeknight covering current events, issues of faith, family, and freedom. Tony is president of the FRC and your leading source for what's really happening in our nation's capital. Weeknights on theDove TV.
Hi, welcome back. 10 minutes before the hour on this beautiful Friday, first day of summer, which you wouldn't know it here in Southern Oregon because we're going to have some rain today, so we welcome that. Well, Charlie Kirk is kind of like one of the great apologists of our day. It's amazing how generations, the right people pop up at the right time.
Yes. Yeah.
He is an amazing young man. He is. He's all over the college campuses. He's all over the president has had him in and out. I mean, he is kind of like a go-to guy, and yet he's humble, loves the Lord, does all that. He had Riley Gaines on with him, talking about, of course, she's the one that's trying to keep men out of women's sports.
Yeah.
And they got into the subject of abortion. It's still out there. By the way, folks, I just want you to know something. We're not winning this argument. We're losing it.
Oh, yeah.
It's all over the pill because it's now back to the state issue. That's another discussion for another day. Anyway, they're talking to a young lady about this, and here's a little bit of their conversation.
How I see it, you have to cut an umbilical cord to get that child out, and I feel like if that child is still attached to the mother, the mother has to eat to feed the baby. If the child is still living on the baby inside of the mother, it isn't alive.
Well, a mother has to feed a baby months and months and months and months after the baby is already on this planet.
But the mother is feeding the baby. This baby, when it's inside, are they feeding?
So what about someone on a feeding tube? If you don't feed them through their feeding tube, are they not worthy of life?
How old's that person? Are they born? Have they been born yet?
But why does the moral worth of a human being matter whether they're born or not?
Probably. Well, the point that I was trying to get out with it. The point that I was trying to get out with it is that women shouldn't have to be forced to give birth to that child if they don't want to. That's the point I was just trying to get out there.
Okay, let's say I have 2 ultrasounds here. One of the babies.
Show the dolphin fetus again?
One of them is a baby conceived in rape.
Okay.
The other one is a baby conceived in a loving relationship. Which one is which?
I mean, it's up to them. The thing
No,
is
but
that
which one is which? I can't tell the difference. Help me out.
I'm not saying that there's a difference between those two.
Exactly. So they both deserve human rights.
No, I'm saying that if a mother doesn't want to give birth to her child, she shouldn't have to.
Okay, so should you be able to commit murder of a newborn if you don't want the baby anymore?
No, you would.
Why? Well, then what's the difference?
You wouldn't have the child if you didn't want it. That's the point of abortion.
Well, hold on.
I will.
I hope you never have an abortion, actually. Abortion's really bad.
It's my body, my choice. That's the thing.
Well, hold on. If it's your body, your choice, and I'll let Riley chime in.
So is it your choice because you're a man and you get to make those
Well,
decisions for
hold
me?
on. Time out. You
Yeah.
want to say that to Riley? Riley's a woman, too. So say the
but-
same statement to her.
I'm
Say
not
the same
saying-
statement to her.
But I'm.
No, your logic must be equally applicable to all sexes. Say that same statement
I'm
to her.
saying that she can.
Say the same statement to her.
I'm not saying that statement to you. I'm saying that you as a
You
man.
just said it to me.
No, I'm saying you as a man should not have. You should have the rights to choose whether I can get an
Okay,
abortion or not.
does she have the rights to choose
Yes,
for
she
you?
does have the right. She doesn't have the, no one has the right to choose for me.
Okay,
but
so it's not a
me.
man thing. That's what I'm
It
saying.
is a man because Trump is in charge and he is the one. He said that he is the reason that Roe v. Wade is overturned. He said
Praise
that.
the Lord, Roe versus Wade is overturned.
In what way? It also kills other women and
You
children.
know we have more babies being born in Texas than ever before since the abolition of abortion. Isn't that a good thing?
And that's why we have such a high population. That's why we have
No, we
12 million
don't.
people in there. Yes, we do.
We have a declining population.
Yeah.
We have a population collapse. What are you talking about? The world is on the verge of a population extinction event.
Okay, so there's a lot there. I think that a lot of mixed statistics there.
Yeah.
Yes, more babies are being born. We're thankful for that. More abortions are also, in some states, not all states, but in some states are way up.
Right.
Because it's a state issue. What he's trying to establish there is, at the end of the day, if there's no moral mooring in somebody's heart, then any of this stuff is doable.
Yeah, yeah.
So you'd have to ask that young girl, how would you value life? How do you value life if, in fact, your mother had an opportunity to abort you? Doesn't that give you a reason to value the fact that you're on this earth because somebody chose to have you?
Yeah.
And they valued human life above convenience. So I don't know. The argument continues.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, we got some great guests coming up, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on. What do you got?
All right. Well, I got a story. A tribute to a beloved teacher and how her last request was honored.
Tammy Waddell, a beloved elementary school teacher from Georgia, left behind a legacy of compassion that touched hearts far beyond the classroom. After a long battle with cancer, Waddell passed away at the age of 58. But even in death, her devotion to her students lived on. Instead of flowers, she asked for something more meaningful: backpacks full of school supplies for children in need. Her loved ones honored her wish in a beautiful way. At her funeral, dozens of donated backpacks lined the aisles, each one filled with notebooks, pencils, and the hope of a better school year for students who might otherwise go without. About 100 fellow teachers served as honorary pallbearers, carrying the backpacks out of the service and back to their schools, continuing Waddell's mission to helping children succeed. It was a powerful tribute to a life spent giving.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yep.
That's good. All right, Ephesians 4:32, a great scripture for this first day of summer. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. The golden rule. All right, beautiful day. Enjoy it.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Spring is around the corner and summer is on its way. With fire danger biting at its heels, flammable blackberries and underbrush will grow like gangbusters and sprout fire danger in no time. A wise property owner knows the best time to take care of fire danger is to extinguish it before it gets started. GMV Forestry LLC can help you protect your property with adequate fire brush clearing to fireproof a zone around your precious property. With over 35 years experience, GMV Forestry LLC has the knowledge, experience, and all the equipment you need to get the job done right, offering a wide variety of services like mulching, field mowing, snow removal, driveway clearing, ditch cleaning, gravel delivery and spreading, driveway sweeping, logging, and more. GMV Forestry LLC does it all, and they do it right. GMV Forestry LLC, the team you can trust. 541-660-6445. 541-660-6445.
Life is complicated enough. Why worry about what to do with your extra car? Skip the costs of maintaining it, storing it, insuring it, or renewing registration. Car repairs? Forget about it. Here's one easy solution to your car problem. Donate it to our station. It's fast, free, tax deductible, and if you donate, you're going to feel incredible knowing you're supporting quality programming. Interested? Just call this toll-free number or donate online. Thank you.
Cliff Connectley travels across America to give an answer to questions, doubts, and challenges concerning faith.
So one of the reasons I believe that God exists.
Join him for Give Me an Answer, weekdays on the Dove TV. Greg Laurie encouraging viewers to know God and make Him known. Harvest weekends on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove, the first day of summer, and it's being welcomed with rain.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's why I got a little, it's chilly this morning when I got up. You're wearing a woolly
Yeah, I got it. Got a sweater vest, yeah.
There we go. So anyway, today and tomorrow, rain in our own backyard. So we'll keep you posted on that. Happy Friday to you, first day of summer. So this is the longest day of the year?
Yes, it is. Summer solstice.
So it's hard to believe from today on things starting to shorten up.
Yeah. It's the longest day of the year in the northern hemisphere, shortest day of the year in the southern hemisphere.
Well, there you go.
How about that?
Okay. So good morning to you. A lot going on in the news this morning. It's just amazing what's going on in the Middle East, all the stuff with Iran. We had some crazy things happen in our Oregon legislature. We got a lot to talk about this morning. And this is where Jerry gets his therapy.
Well, it's pretty necessary. Do you ever wake up in the morning and you just, there's for no reason? I mean, the alarm didn't ring, and your eyes pop open, you think, it's time to go. It's time to go. I don't know how often that happens to you, but I beat my alarm a lot. A lot.
It's normal for me.
Yeah, so maybe I need the therapy. That's why I come in.
Well, you know, when we get the remodel done here, maybe I can put it in a couch and have you lay on it.
Okay.
And I'll ask you a lot of questions.
Yeah, if I snore, don't take offense.
No. Well, if you snore, you're out of here. But if you could lay on this couch, and I could ask you a lot of questions.
That's a dangerous thing, laying down.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Friday. We like that. Anything special today?
Well, first day of summer, so you can celebrate it by going out and picking up some seashells. Did you know if you do that, you're called a sheller?
A sheller?
Yeah. Beachcombers who collect seashells by scouring the beaches for the gems left behind by snails and mollusks. Enjoy. I like sand dollars too.
Oh yeah.
If I'm down on the beach, I'm picking stuff up. I don't know. Do you know when you're walking the beach, are you looking down all the time?
Yeah, you kind of are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. So enjoy.
I got an interesting piece of wood in my office that I found on the beach one time. Because you know, if you watch wood that rolls in the sea,
yes.
You know how it gets shiny and soft, but it bends.
Yes.
Well, it bent around another piece of wood. So it's kind of unique.
You know, we have this thing. Pam loves heart-shaped rock, heart-shaped anything, any natural formation, but especially rocks.
Really?
We have hauled home rocks from the most far. We packed rocks in luggage to get on a flight to come home. Packing rocks. Are you kidding me? We went, where did we go the other day?
Well, maybe the wrong person's on the couch. Maybe Pam should be on the couch today. Pam, you need to come over here and sit down and I'll talk to you a little bit.
We went someplace the other day, and I remember we got home, and I climbed out of the truck with my crutch. You know, I opened up the door, and then I opened up the back door to grab something off the back seat, and there's a rock laying on the floor. I said, Pam, your rock. She goes, that's my rock. Give me that rock.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. I don't know how we went from seashells to rocks, but yeah, I need therapy. Okay, moving on. National Take Your Dog to Work Day, a celebration of the companionship between canine and human, hoping to inspire others to adopt from shelters and humane societies, because there are a lot of there's a lot of inventory out there.
Yes, there is.
So go grab one. Also, National Queen Amande Day. It's a pastry. Oh, look at that. There it is. A round, crusty cake made with a yeast-raised dough, I should say. And if you like croissants and you like glazed donuts, you'll love Queen Amande. The flaky, buttery texture of the croissant meets the sugary topping of a donut. And it's been around for a long time. The name comes from the Breton word for cake, which is queen, and butter, amande. And so it's something that I've never tasted. And they say that it originated in 1860 when flour was scarce but butter was abundant. So I would assume this is obviously heavy on the butter. And that's a good thing.
It kind of looks like a croissant.
It does look like a croissant, doesn't it? Except it doesn't have the croissant shape. It has the croissant flakiness.
Yeah.
So have something for breakfast.
All
Enjoy.
right.
And then top it off. You got a couple wonderful drinks. You can either have an ice cream soda because it's National Ice Cream Soda Day, or a vanilla milkshake because it's vanilla milkshake. Now you talk about a conundrum. What do you order?
Oh, well, it's no question for me. I have the vanilla shake.
Yeah, vanilla shake.
One of my favorite things.
They're pretty
so
good.
high in calories, but gosh, they're great.
Well, the first milkshake showed up in print in 1885. And brace yourself. Man, you know what? People lived differently back in the olden days, didn't they? Because the original concoction consisted of cream, eggs, and whiskey.
Really?
By the 1900s, soda fountains introduced milk-based drinks that were more kid-friendly without the extra ingredient. So the kid-friendliness, that's a good deal. And because I can't imagine. Can you imagine that ingredient in a vanilla milkshake? I guess some folks can. Some folks are thinking, I can't imagine without it.
I'm thinking in my brain, nostalgia being what it is. Why hasn't somebody come up with that?
I don't know. So, all right. Well, more and more of us, and are getting security systems in their homes. My security system are 3 loud barking dogs.
Okay.
And I'm just giving warning out there. I have no electronics. I don't have any cameras. I don't have any of that stuff. We should, but I do have 3 ornery barking dogs. They just look ornery. They're just, you can throw a little biscuit out to them and they'll be your buddies forever. So I'm giving away all my secrets.
Yeah.
But did you know that in feudal Japan, in 17th century Japan, squeaky floors were designed and the best home security system? You'd expect Japanese feudal lords to live in pristine houses with sturdy materials, and that is mostly true, save for their squeaky, creaky floors. They're called nightingale floors, and they were flooring systems that chirped when somebody walked on it. They were installed in temples and palaces to alert of intruders. The floors were built in a way that the flooring nails rub against jackets or clamps, causing squeaking noises. This is the first security system in feudal Japan. Anyway, so, when you have a squeaky floor, you want to try to avoid that. I hate squeaky floors, but I got one squeak in my whole house, one spot, as I come right to my dresser drawers, and I'm trying to get some socks in the dark 30 in the morning. I'm trying to keep Pam from waking up, and I have trained myself. You come walking on that part of the floor, you do a little detour around it. And there you go. He said, okay, and very quietly,
You're
too.
finding love here.
This is love at dark 30.
Yeah, well,
yes.
Love or wisdom?
Yeah, both. That's both. They're tied. So anyway, I hope you have a security system, not necessarily a squeaky floor, but enjoy.
Well, that's interesting. You can go to, say, Costco or any place online, and you can order these security systems,
Yeah, cameras.
And then attach it to your phone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're wonderful.
So you don't need the 9mm anymore.
Yeah, and then, of course, everybody's... Well, no, you get 9mm as the backup.
Oh, that is, okay.
Because, also there's a lot of doorbell cams, too.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff goes on the doorbell cams.
Yeah.
We get a lot of footage that way, but any way you look at it, it's secure.
Okay, well, anyway, here's a guy that's in love and very wise.
Thanks to our friends at Grange Co-op, here's a look at our Friday weather. In northern Oregon and southern Washington, showers with the possibility of thunderstorms after 11 a.m. and daytime highs in the low 60s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with showers likely and the possibility of thunderstorms after 11 a.m. with daytime high temperatures in the low 60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene. In central Oregon, partly sunny with a chance of showers, breezy, and highs in the low 60s in Prineville and mid-50s for Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny, then a slight chance of showers in mid-70s. Along the Oregon coast, showers and possibly thunderstorms in low 60s for Coos Bay and Port Orford. Showers in low 50s in Brookings and rain likely after 11 a.m. and mid-50s in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, rain likely with a high near 64 in Grants Pass. Partly sunny with a chance of rain in low to mid-60s in Medford and upper 50s in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny, breezy, and near 60. Into northern California, partly sunny with a slight chance of rain and a high in the mid-60s in Wairika. Sunny and breezy with a high in the upper 70s in Redding and low 80s in Chico and Sacramento with gusts up to 21 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, sunny and breezy with highs in the low to mid-70s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 64 and a west wind gusting up to 34 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny, breezy, and near 70. A look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
All right, and there's a beautiful shot of southern Oregon this morning. As you can see, the clouds are moving in, keeping the temperatures a little on the cool side for this first day of summer. And up to 70% chance of rain today. Wow, pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I got to mention, I saw a story this morning early that said one of the perks that some employees are kind of not very happy about is something that has disappeared on the workplace. It's called Summer Fridays.
Oh.
Summer Fridays is where everybody goes home in the afternoon. Seriously, I'm not kidding. This is the thing. It's called Summer Fridays, and they're lamenting the fact that it's not happening anymore, and it disappeared during COVID. And it hasn't reemerged. But then they kind of got their message mixed up because they said it disappeared because people aren't coming into work on Fridays anymore. So how do you take Friday afternoon off with a Summer Friday if you're not coming into work?
Well, the rumor's out. That's why there's so many applications at theDove. Because our Summer Friday starts on Summer Thursday.
It's a nice way to wind down the week.
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Well, you guys start winding down at noon on Tuesday.
Okay, and we are winding down the week because it is Friday. But how about starting next week? Would you like to start next week a little smoother? Well, Pastor Jack Graham has some encouragement for us.
I'm not going to give you a list of what you should do or what you shouldn't do on the Lord's Day, but I know above all things on the Lord's Day, we should make him number one in all that we do. Sunday is not the last day of the week. It's the first day of a brand new week. And your week, I'm telling you, will go a lot better if you put him first in your life. And start your week by worshiping him, opening God's word as you're doing right now, and being a part of the fellowship of God's church. We're seeing the de-churching of America. Church attendance is down, way, way down. It went exponentially even more downward in the trends at the pandemic, and many people are not back. But there's some studies, there's some data now as to why people aren't going to church and why people haven't come back to church even after the COVID-19 scare. And you know the reason? It's not because most have abandoned their faith. There's some who have abandoned faith, and there's deconstruction of faith and apostasy going on. But that's really a small percentage of people who are de-churched today. It's not even that they're unchurched. They once were churched, but now they're de-churched. And do you know the number one reason by far that people are not going to church today? They say, I'm too busy. I just got out of the habit. We got things going on in our lives. I mean, there are trips to take, and there's kids, and there's ball games, and there's lake houses, and there's vacations, and we're tired at the end of the week, and we've just gotten out of the habit. I spoke with a person the other day in our community, and just finding out she was a Prestonwood member, and I said, you know, how are you liking church? She said, well, we're just not back yet. I don't know why. We just got out of the habit, but we're going to get there. The priority of a Christian is to worship God on God's day in God's church. And so I want to challenge you to get back in church if you're out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, post-COVID, it's time to get out of your pajamas and get back in a pew.
Yes, indeed.
You know, and it's the scripture is clear that forsake not the gathering of yourselves together. There's things designed to happen inside the body of a community of believers in a building that won't happen anywhere else. And, you know, so if you're worried about finding the perfect church, well, then don't go.
Yes.
Because you'll ruin it.
That's right. Yes.
But that's what it's all about. A church is mainly a hospital. It's not a museum. So you may want to check that out.
Yeah.
All right, let's check out some of the top stories today. And this is really interesting. Within the last couple of hours, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals handed the president an amazing victory. And it has to do with something you and I have been talking about for the last several days, Jerry. Why is the word national in the word California National Guard, Oregon National Guard, Texas National Guard? Does the president have the power to nationalize the National Guard? Big argument. This happened to be a subject that I brought up quickly yesterday when I had Mark Miller with me. Mark is the senior attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation, an amazing organization. And we were chit-chatting about that. And I just asked him briefly, I said, what about this? Do you think that the Ninth Circuit, because the arguments were made, do you think the Ninth Circuit, as liberal that is, will go with the president? Here's what Mark had to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent question, and I think it may be going to the Supreme Court, Perry. You know, the president decided as commander-in-chief that he would, the verb is federalize, that he would take the state National Guard for California and order them as commander-in-chief to get out in the streets of Los Angeles and make sure to, you know, stop any civil unrest. To do so peaceably, but to be there to make it clear that violence was not the way we do protests in the United States. Nonviolent protests like Martin Luther King is what we prefer. Governor Newsom said, no, this is the California National Guard, and if I don't want to go along with that, then I get the final word. He doesn't really have any leg to stand on. Surprisingly, a district judge in San Francisco said he was right, but the appeals court in California, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, had argument earlier this week, and they indicated they're going to rule for the president, that we have precedent going back 150, almost to the beginning of the country, 150 years, 200 years, that says, no, the president's commander-in-chief, you may disagree with his decision, but he has the final say in when the National Guard is used to quell civil unrest.
And that's what happened. The Ninth Circuit ruled late yesterday in favor of the president that he has the authority to nationalize the Guard. That's a significant win.
Yeah, and what will Gavin Newsom's reaction to this be?
Well, I don't know.
Are they going to go to court?
Well, he may. Yeah. I mean, I think Gavin Newsom's got so many problems. Which one does he tackle?
Yeah.
I don't know. He may want to wake up someday and go to the office. I don't know. All right. Well, there's a little bit of confusion. How close is Iran to having a nuke? A CIA director, John Ratcliffe, says it's really close. Other members of the intelligence agency say, well, no, hold on here. We're trying to eliminate it, getting closer. So there's a little bit of a gap in the communication here, but I think they're all on the same page that Iran can't have the nuke. And what are they going to do? And as you know, the president gave the word yesterday that he was going to make his decision within 2 weeks. Now, the interesting thing about that is that could be today.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. Yeah.
Wall Street Journal continues to report that the president has made the decision to attack, but he hasn't given the go-ahead. So I can't help but think that the president and the prime minister and their teams are communicating constantly on the progress. There's a mysterious part about that. We'll have it here in just a moment. It looks like China stuck their nose in it.
Yeah, so, looks like it.
In the meantime, as you know, ICE is very much a problem with a lot of people. Immigration Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE. And of course, they've been in trying to, remove illegals. This is a huge deal. It's very controversial. Well, attacks against ICE agents is up 500%. Now, the question is, when are we going to arrest people who attack a federal officer?
Great question, yes.
Okay. It's a federal crime.
Yeah, exactly.
So you kind of wonder, well, okay, are we tolerating crime to deal with another issue? I mean, so this is right out of the Rules for Radical book. You create such chaos that basic lawmaking gets thrown under the bus.
Right.
And it gets mixed up. The problem we have is the original crime now is nowhere to be mentioned. The original crime to all of this is you came over the border illegally.
Right, exactly.
The original crime is not being dealt with. It's all of the sub-things from the crime.
And you know what the problem is with the left? It's not deportations. It's who's deporting. They didn't say anything when Obama deported 3 million illegal aliens in this country. 3 million. They didn't say a word.
Yeah. So anyway, ICE agents attacks are up. We'll see where this is go. And then back to Iran. Radar is showing now that China is sending 747s, plural, from China to Iran. And what are they hauling?
Yeah,
and they're seeing, they're tracking them on radar. There's several flights to and from China to Iran. And the question I have is this, okay? This is, I don't know. I'm not saying this out of fear. I'm just trying to be logical here. Are they bringing in vanilla milkshakes?
I doubt it.
Okay, so what are they bringing in? Are they bringing in nuclear warheads?
Maybe.
That can be attached to a missile.
Or components that would help, that would help Iran do the same, right.
So in the meantime, I don't suspect anybody's going to shoot a 747 from China down out of the sky, but they could take care of it if it's on the ground in Iran.
Yeah. And you know who might know what's on those shipments? Mossad.
Yeah.
Israeli intelligence.
I think they know.
Yeah, they might.
And this could accelerate the president's decision. But, so China's sticking their nose. China's biggest interest here is L.
Yes, exactly.
And so, but this just shows you, are we in the middle of a major global confrontation?
Possibly. You know, it's a possibility. Yep.
The way you take care of Russia and China is through massive sanctions.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who suffer under that are the citizens.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we are humanitarians, but to me, the only way you can deal with those branches of the enemies is to sanction them into the ground. But both Russia and China need Iran's oil.
Oh, exactly.
But if on those airplanes are nuclear warheads that can be attached to a missile, and the first nuclear missile that they launch, if that's the case, we're in a global problem. We're in a global mess here.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, that's kind of the top stories of the day, as hard as that is to take on the first day of summer. But I don't think you're going to be using any suntan lotion today.
Not in our backyard.
Not in our backyard. We'll be right back.
But church, if we want to see change in the world out there, it's got to start right here. It's got to start right now.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Welcome back on a beautiful Friday morning, first day of summer. Somewhere around a 70% chance plus of rain today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it warms back up on Sunday and through the rest of the week.
Low to mid 60s today. What could be better?
Yeah, pretty nice out there. Well, this next story is sad. I have to tell you, I'm not anxious to bring this to you. I wish I didn't have to, but I think we're obligated to be across the board fair with news. And this was national news yesterday. If you can imagine this, late yesterday afternoon, I do the surfing to make sure. I hate to go to bed with that stuff on my mind, but anyway, this popped up. The Oregon legislature yesterday, and let me set this up. Yesterday was Juneteenth Day, which is the Great Emancipation. You know, this
ending of slavery.
Ending of slavery, and that's been on the calendar for quite some time. The whole month of June is Pride Month, and this is the first probably Pride Month that it wasn't overly celebrated. It seems to be dying down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yesterday, our Oregon legislature took those two things together to do an opening ceremony at the end of their session. Now, they're going to sine die here in the next day or so, which means they're going to end the session. Could be today, but I think it's next week. I don't know. I got to look that up. Anyway, so what did they do? They brought in 2 black drag queens to perform for our legislators on the U.S. Oh, it's not the U.S. The Oregon Representative House floor. Now they're lip syncing a song, pantomiming a song.
Yeah, yeah.
And these are two black drag queens. This made national news yesterday.
Well,
no other
yeah.
state in the union
Right.
is as crazy as this.
Yes.
The argument is made, well, we've had other groups and other people do things in the floor. Okay, well, this ought to be an excuse that you shouldn't be doing anything like this. This is the people's house where you're supposed to be doing the people's business. This
Right.
is an open, blatant political advocacy on the House floor of the Oregon legislature. Now, the good news is if you look across there, not all the seats were filled.
Okay.
Some didn't go.
All right.
The balcony was not filled. And you could tell the discomfort of some of those sitting behind the podiums. But folks, this happened yesterday in our legislature. What does this have to do with dealing with the people's business?
Yeah.
This is raw advocacy.
Right. This should be a skit on Saturday Night Live. They may do it. Because the country's looking and chuckling right now.
This sounds political, but quite frankly, I think the speaker ought to be recalled over this. There ought to be a state cry.
Yeah.
And pull this. But it was sponsored by members of the House. They gave those who were in the building at the end, gave them a standing ovation.
Exactly.
So, folks, this is going on in our legislature.
Yeah.
And our kids are watching this.
Absolutely.
And this is, I'm so sad to report that, but it's so disgusting.
You know, you made a good comment coming into this. You mentioned that it's Pride Month, but we don't see quite the level of celebrations that we've seen in the past. I've been reading some articles that a lot of this has to do with corporate sponsors pulling out.
Yes.
And I think part of that is that in the past there's been a lot of pressure on corporate sponsors inside of DEI and the wokeism efforts that are going on, that they have kind of felt pressured to contribute to these causes.
They have, and they didn't contribute to Juneteenth.
Right.
DEI is now the removal of DEI policy through the government because of the Trump administration. I can tell you over at the FCC, thank God it got pulled. And other agencies, it's being pulled. It's being pulled from the military. And corporate America is waking up and saying, this cost us a lot of money and got us a lot of embarrassment and lost us some sales. Look at the Bud Light thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
So anyway, I'm so sad to report that to you this morning, but that's our Oregon legislature.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, one other thing. This is a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek one. The crooked Fox News. Who said that?
You know,
who called the Fox News crooked?
Sounds like some language that I could attribute to someone.
Yes.
The president.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's mad at him.
I bet.
And he came out yesterday and called him crooked Fox
Crooked
News.
Fox.
Now, why did he do that? Because Fox News released a survey that said only 53% majority approved Trump's handling of the border. Well, listen, you can go to any other report out there. It's in the 80s.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Right.
And Fox comes up where it's 43% approve and 46 disapprove. Well, the only thing I can say, this is a push-pull.
Right. And wouldn't you like to hear how that was put out to those folks who got this question?
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Well, again, a push-pull is where they call you and they ask questions that suggest the answer that they want. And you got to be smart enough to know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
But do you believe for a moment only 53% approved the president shutting the border down to where in May nobody crossed?
Right. Right.
Now, who would be for? And we know, the Democrats would not be for that. But the president's approval rating on this issue over the last 6 months have been in this high 70s and low 80s.
That's what he ran on.
That's what he ran on.
Exactly.
So, but in the meantime, I don't know if this is going to get him invited back on the Fox and Friends anytime soon, but he called him the crooked Fox News. Okay, well, I tell you, hold on, the roller coaster ride gets better and better. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street for a Friday. Good morning to you. Thank you, Preston, for being there, even though yesterday the big board was closed. Preston has smart lawn. Today it's back up 138. The Nas is up 56 and the S&P up 15. Continued green. Look at that number, 42,309. Not bad. It's kind of holding off in there. So let's take a look and see how this is influencing the other indicators. Gold this morning is down a little bit, 33.84. Yeah, silver's down maybe a whole dollar. It's $35.95. That was at $37.01 or something like that. Crude oil It's still $72.
Down, but it's up.
Yeah, it's down 8 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's part of the problem with what's going on in the Middle East. We'll see how that plays out.
That's going to keep playing out. Now, this is interesting, this look. I can't wait to hear KT McFarland in this, because we've been talking about Iran, and I heard an article or a story about Israel and how well they are connected, because their best friend is the superpower on the globe, us. But Iran has been kind of isolated. They don't have many friends anymore. But now with this development, the 747s flying in from China, that gets a little bit murky, but I still want to hear the take, because former Trump Deputy National Security Advisor KT McFarland discussed Trump's strategy in making the decision to attack the insurmountable challenges Iran is facing, including being abandoned by its allies, the Russians and the Chinese. Let's listen in.
He'll probably have an NSC meeting every day now until it is crunch time. I think he's got some time. And remember, he doesn't get the yips. He doesn't think, oh, I got to do something right away. He's going to lean back and say, when is the moment that I have to get all the information I can get, the best position I'm going to be in, and then I'll make that decision and I'll do it. I mean, are there sleeper cells, for example, who've come across the southern border? When you look at what military capabilities they have, Israel has destroyed a lot of their missile launchers. We thought they had maybe 2,000 missiles, maybe now think 200. But anyway, if you don't have a launcher, that doesn't make a difference. And Iran is isolated. The proxies are gone. No Hezbollah, no Hamas, no Houthis, no Syrian air defense systems. And where are the Russians? Where are the Chinese? The great pals of Iran? They're not rushing in to help. And the brilliance now, as you look back, of President Trump's first foreign trip to the Saudis, to the UAE. These are all the guys who Iran might have said, come to our aid. And even if they're saying a public statement of, oh, this is so terrible, Israel, you know they're making the phone call to President Trump saying, keep going. The motivating factors between the Gulf Arabs, the Sunnis, and Israel is the common enemy. The common enemy is Iran. Iran wants to kill Israel, kill America, and it also wants to be the predominant country and dominant power in the Middle East. And that's not what the Saudis want. So this is all laid out in such a series of careful chess moves. It's brilliant to watch.
So, was the trip to the Middle East that did not include Israel, went all to the Middle Eastern, was it part of the strategy, knowing that this war was going to escalate, to soften those people as Israel goes in and does what it's doing in Iran, and it opens the door for maybe America getting involved?
You're on to something.
So he softened these people. Now, you have to ask yourself, where's Qatar? Where is Saudi Arabia? Where's Egypt? Where's Syria? Where are all these other surrounding countries? They seem to be just quiet. She makes a good point. Hezbollah has been, it's probably 99% knocked out. Hamas is about 95% knocked out. Houthis, they've been pretty much destroyed. So now it just leaves the head of the snake. Was all of this premeditated to get to where we are today, which makes us look like fools that we didn't know that there was a plan clear back here, that we're just dealing with the ultimate today.
Right. Is this part of the art of the
So you got to be careful, especially people in news and commentaries just like us. We don't know everything. You know, we only have bits and pieces of it.
And you know, you make a good point there, because that was quite a trip that the president made to the Middle East. Was he paving the way for this? And you have to probably, ask yourself, is there any of the neighbors of Iran who would want them to be that armed with a nuclear weapon? You talk about an imbalance of power.
See, we don't understand the Shiite-Sunni problem. And it goes back centuries, goes back generations. And when you get into the Shiites and the Sunni problem, inside that there's a bunch of more branches of each one. We don't understand that here in the West. But they do have one thing in common. They all don't like Israel.
That's true.
And it is a religious thing. They are theocracies run by a theology. You kill everybody until you're dominant. And even the ones who are sympathetic to Israel and the United States for other reasons, their religion is still in place. We'll be right back.
All right.
After another.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
The right cleaning company matters. Choose Dust Plus Cleaning and Carpet Care, a family-owned company proudly serving Grants Pass and nearby communities for over 25 years. We're passionate about delivering the best, whether it's carpets, using purified water for no window spots, or carefully washing solar panels. We're committed to superb customer service from start to finish. Radiant spaces from local professionals. Request a free quote today.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
We're talking here about the procedure of faith. After Elijah had done what God already told him to do, then the word of the Lord came to him. And that is the way the procedure of faith always works. It's the procedure of step-by-step obedience before the Lord. We obey one command, and then he gives us another. We take one step, and then he leads us to the next step. And that's very uncomfortable for me and for all of you too. Can I get a witness? We want to know the whole story. We want to see where it ends up. We want to know what problems we're going to face between A and Z. But God doesn't work that way. He leads us one step at a time.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Welcome back. 23 minutes before the hour on this first day of summer, where vanilla milkshakes are on the menu today.
You have it under your umbrella.
Okay, yeah. The key to a vanilla milkshake, there's a couple of keys.
Wow.
One is you don't put whipped cream on top.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
That just...
it's just in the way?
It gets in the way, and it actually is not good for you, okay?
we're talking about drinking milkshakes, and you're talking about what's good for you?
I'm working my way up here. Okay. The other one is vanilla bean ice cream.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'd go for that.
Now, the only way you could change a vanilla milkshake to another flavor is when you're mixing the milkshake, the vanilla, you got one of the little hand thing. So you're grinding this thing away, and you've got your vanilla bean in there. Drop in a couple of real off-the-vine strawberries.
Oh, yeah.
Now you took your vanilla bean milkshake and you turned it into a real strawberry milkshake.
Okay, wow. Well, you know, you brought up a good point.
Now you really got something.
You talked about mixing up. Did you know that the very first blender was invented to make milkshakes?
Oh, see?
Wow.
And Doug Gould gave us one of those original, you see it up there?
Oh, yes.
One of those old-fashioned.
That's where that came from, Doug?
Yeah, one of those old-fashioned things with the cup and all that, you know. So,
you know, on days like today where we have a shake as part of the food,
I think we have a little ice cream left in there.
Mandatory.
Yeah. Oh, see, look. You know what? When I get off there, it'll be gone.
Because the heads are nodding.
Your hot dogs in there. Yeah. All right. Let's check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Wendy Griffith. We begin with coverage in the Middle East. On Thursday, President Trump announced he will make a decision on Iran within 2 weeks. As Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, his decision will have a decisive impact on the direction of Israel's war with Iran.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt delivered the president's message.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
Early today, an Iranian missile struck a residential building in the Israeli town of Beersheva. On Thursday, Iran hit a hospital in the same town and a residential neighborhood in Tel Aviv. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the site of the hospital.
We're targeting military sites. We're targeting nuclear sites. We're targeting missile sites. They're targeting a hospital. In this hospital, there are patients who are immobile. They can't even move. Right next to it is a children's ward, a baby's ward, infants. They targeted.
The IDF suspects at least one Iranian missile carried multiple warheads or cluster bombs. That could create a problem for Israel, because missiles with multiple warheads can pose a more difficult challenge for air defense systems like Israel's Iron Dome. The IDF continues to destroy Iranian missile launchers many times just before launching. Netanyahu addressed whether or not President Trump will decide to enter the war.
President Trump will do what's best for America. I trust his judgment. He's a tremendous friend, a tremendous world leader, a tremendous friend of Israel and the Jewish people.
Netanyahu added the U.S. is already helping a lot in defending Israel by helping to destroy incoming Iranian missiles, drones, and UAVs. Meanwhile, Israel continues its relentless bombing campaign, including hitting the Iraq heavy water reactor. Military expert, former IDF Major Elliot Shoda marvels at what the Israeli Air Force has accomplished in less than a week.
This is unprecedented, and it's not a word that I use lightly, because it was not only taking out their air defense capability, but much more the complete clearing of what is the only battlefield today, which is the air battlefield. And so this is a one-front air war that we've never really seen anything like this in the Arab-Israeli conflict, but nothing on this scale, where we, once again, have basically cleared the skies for the Israeli Air Force that's operating at will over Iran, allowing us to pick and choose our targets and damage and destroy them at will.
But Shoda believes Israel may still need what the U.S. has in its arsenal to destroy Iran's deep underground nuclear facility at Fordow, including bunker-busting bombs and the planes to carry them.
The one thing that Israel absolutely does not have is the strategic bomber capability that the B-2 and even the B-52, but certainly the B-2 provides. Somebody asked me recently, why doesn't Israel build its own bunker busters? And the answer is because we don't have any aircraft that can carry it.
In the U.S., crowds celebrated in New Jersey as former Israeli-American hostage Edan Alexander came home, a little over a month after he was released from captivity in Gaza. But for now, here in Israel, the goal of wiping out Iran's nuclear program remains the top concern. The White House says Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a couple of weeks if Ayatollah Khamenei gave the go-ahead. Now Israel and the world await President Trump's decision on potential U.S. involvement.
And Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, great to see you today. What are some Israelis feeling about the U.S. entering the war?
Well, Wendy, they're eager. They'd love to see the United States come in. It could change the length of the war from weeks to days, and it would help Israel. As we said in the report, it could destroy the nuclear site at Fordow because they have those strategic bombers like the B-2 and the B-52 and that massive ordnance penetrator called the MOP, a 30,000-pound bomb. It also would reduce the threat of missile attacks here in Israel. And I think it would be a tremendous morale boost to the people of Israel that have been really fighting Iran on its own. Although I would say that U.S. is providing a lot of defensive help, a lot of munitions. So there's a great help that the U.S. is doing. They would like to see here in Israel just more offensive help with those unique munitions that the U.S. possesses.
Wow. Okay. Well, listen. Sometimes these things happen during the weekend.
Yes.
And the reason they do is because you're dealing with holy days for both religions.
Okay.
And where they try to honor it, they dishonor it, and things happen.
Yeah.
So who knows? Very tenuous, and we'll keep you posted. All right, let's check out what the weather has to do with on this first day of summer.
Thanks to our friends at Grange Co-op, here's a look at our Friday weather. In northern Oregon and southern Washington, showers with the possibility of thunderstorms after 11 a.m. and daytime highs in the low 60s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with showers likely and the possibility of thunderstorms after 11 a.m. with daytime high temperatures in the low 60s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene. In Central Oregon, partly sunny with a chance of showers, breezy, and highs in the low 60s in Prineville and mid-50s for Bend and Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, mostly sunny, then a slight chance of showers in mid-70s. Along the Oregon coast, showers and possibly thunderstorms in low 60s for Coos Bay and Port Orford, showers in low 50s in Brookings, and rain likely after 11 a.m. and mid-50s in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, rain likely with a high near 64 in Grants Pass, partly sunny with a chance of rain in low to mid-60s in Medford and upper 50s in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, mostly sunny, breezy, and near 60. Into northern California, partly sunny with a slight chance of rain and a high in the mid-60s in Wairika, sunny and breezy with a high in the upper 70s in Redding and low 80s in Chico and Sacramento with gusts up to 21 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, sunny and breezy with highs in the low to mid-70s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Mostly sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high near 64 and a west wind gusting up to 34 miles per hour. And today in San Jose, sunny, breezy, and near 70. A look at your Friday weather on the Dove.
Okay, good morning to you. Happy Friday. And there's a look at the first day of summer, which is kind of unusual. We have some clouds and a 70% chance of rain. They're still fighting some fires out there and cleanup. And so this will help. You can see how dry it is, so be careful.
Well, you know, we see a lot of tensions around the globe, and you would think that there are a lot of world leaders who are in direct communication with one another. We've talked about how often perhaps our president is talking with Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. What kind of secure systems are they on? But it was on this day in history that a large step was taken to help reduce Cold War tensions between the two global superpowers.
In the tense aftermath of the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962, the world had come terrifyingly close to nuclear war. For 13 days, the United States and the Soviet Union stood locked in a standoff over Soviet missile installations in Cuba, missiles capable of reaching American cities in minutes. President John F. Kennedy ordered a naval blockade, calling it a quarantine, while Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev sent ships towards Cuba. With global tensions at their peak, the slightest miscommunication could have sparked World War III. Ultimately, diplomacy prevailed. The Soviets agreed to withdraw their missiles. The U.S. pledged not to invade Cuba. But the crisis revealed a chilling truth. There was no fast, direct way for Washington and Moscow to talk during a nuclear emergency. To prevent such a scenario from ever happening again, the two superpowers agreed on June 20th, 1963, to establish the Hotline, a 24-hour direct communication link between the White House and the Kremlin. President Kennedy called it the first step toward preventing war by accident or miscalculation. Installed just months later, the system symbolized a small but vital shift: dialogue over destruction. Thankfully, the hotline never had to prevent a nuclear war, but its quiet presence helped keep the Cold War from turning hot.
I wonder if that teletype machine's in a museum someplace, because obviously they're not using that as the hotline anymore. And it wasn't a red phone or anything like the bat phone or anything like that. But so how do world leaders communicate today on
that's a good
smartphones?
Thing. I don't know. I would imagine they have high secure connection, but can it be hijacked?
Yeah, well, you wonder. And does the president take any phone calls that aren't in his contact list?
I don't know. I think, if I remember correctly, I don't know this for sure, the high-profile people have several sets of phones.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Okay, and I think that they keep rotating them, but hacking being what it is, you got to ask yourself, how safe is this?
Do you think Iranian officials are rotating their phones these days?
They're probably doing it pretty fast.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, we'll be right back.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
From top home sellers in the Valley with John L. Scott,
to making RV consignment effortless. American RV, where Team Toner gets your RV sold fast.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. Nah. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in, we weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn you something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford. The Dove is touching lives across our network and around the world.
Thank you for all you do to put the truth of God and the gospel out on the airwaves. You've helped me and encouraged me a lot in the last few years. And Perry, thank you for the amazing interviews on Focus Today.
Thank you for your hope and inspiration.
Let us know if the Dove has touched your life. The Dove TV, encouraging and informative. Support the Dove at thedove.us.
How can Christian parents train their kids to know and follow God's design for sexuality in a culture that increasingly rejects it?
Join us as we uncover the damaging misinformation being fed to your children on sexuality and gender identity, and learn effective strategies for grounding them in biblical truth with confidence and grace.
Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
Welcome back, 8 minutes before the top of the hour. And in the previous hour, we had an exchange with Riley Gaines is with Charlie Kirk, and they're on a campus talking to people. And this young gal was challenging her about the whole issue of abortion. And it's pretty interesting. But how did it end up? Because she was defending the right of killing the baby based upon that normal argument. And they were certainly counter-reacting.
That argument, I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't want it, so I should be able to get rid of it.
Right.
How did it end up? So here's the last few moments of that conversation.
And I will say this, somebody in this audience was conceived and raped. Can you tell me who?
It doesn't matter who. That's the thing.
That's the thing, is they're all human.
I'm not saying that they're not a human life. I'm saying the mother should have the choice whether she
got
wants
it.
to
No, but
give birth to that
you
human
said
life.
they're not a human life, so they are a human life. Therefore, an extermination of human life is called what?
Murder.
So yes, abortion is murder, even in the case of rape, and that's a hard thing to internalize. It doesn't matter. So
You're saying it's a child, but it's not.
What
physically a
species
child.
is it?
It is a human, but
Okay.
But is it has the child formed yet?
But hold on, you're not fully formed. Riley's not fully formed. I'm not fully formed. We actually go through this process of development our entire life. An embryo is just one stage upon human development. It doesn't mean you get less rights just because you're earlier in the human development scale.
I mean, I feel like I do have more rights than a baby that is in someone's
Why does
stomach.
your age give you more rights over an embryo? Why do you have the ability to eliminate a smaller human? Why is that morally consistent?
I'm not saying that it's better because it is a smaller human. I'm saying that, I'm saying that women themselves should have the choice to get.
Baby has no choice.
Yeah, that's
Thank
why
you.
I should have the choice.
Riley, do you want to take this as a woman?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a flawed logic to insinuate that if you have a heartbeat, these certain qualifications, that is what determines human rights. The moment you're conceived, you are a human, right? We all just agreed that the species is a Homo sapien. You are a human at that point. That's when human rights begin. So I think it's ironic that the other side, who touts human rights, who claims to fight for human rights, they don't believe those belong to children. And as a woman, I believe every single life is worthy. Every life matters.
There you go.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank God they're on the campus, heading it straight on. All right.
Well, I have a sweet story of a tribute to a beloved teacher and how her last request was honored.
Tammy Waddell, a beloved elementary school teacher from Georgia, left behind a legacy of compassion that touched hearts far beyond the classroom. After a long battle with cancer, Waddell passed away at the age of 58. But even in death, her devotion to her students lived on. Instead of flowers, she asked for something more meaningful: backpacks full of school supplies for children in need. Her loved ones honored her wish in a beautiful way. At her funeral, dozens of donated backpacks lined the aisles, each one filled with notebooks, pencils, and the hope of a better school year for students who might otherwise go without. About 100 fellow teachers served as honorary pallbearers, carrying the backpacks out of the service and back to their schools, continuing Waddell's mission to helping children succeed. It was a powerful tribute to a life spent giving.
That is beautiful.
Isn't that nice? Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
What a great request that she had too, though. You know, don't send me flowers. Here's what we need. We need some supplies for the kids. So she kept all the way to the end.
That's good stuff all the way around. Good stuff all the way around. All right, well, stick around. We're going to check in with Jim Dorner in just a few moments. He's kind of giving us a Washington, D.C. update. We have some great conversation about what's happening in the Middle East, which is by the minute changes.
Yeah.
So we got a lot to talk about. Take with you a great scripture today, Ephesians 4, verse 32. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you and allowed vanilla milkshakes to be invented so that you can share them with everybody.
That's compassion.
That's compassion.
Oh, yes. I love it.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Wild runs deep. At Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions, you feel the power of the mighty Rogue River as you take in the sights and sounds of nature, journey through Hellgate Canyon, and adventure through the breathtaking wilderness. Enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, and end your adventure with our exciting jet boat spins. It's a memory in the making with family and friends. Book your adventure at Hellgate.com. Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Lizer with Lizer Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Big ideas grow.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Range Co-op knows weather is crucial for your outdoor plans. That's why they're pleased to bring you a dependable weather forecast on mornings on the Dove at 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. Plus the Dove Weather Cam, all brought to you by Grange Co-op.
And while I was out solving other people's problems, trying to make communities safe, my baby brother was murdered at the age of 17. And it just took me in a dark place. And I asked God, please help me find purpose in this pain. I pray to God, give me wisdom of discernment to make sense of all this. How can we try to make a difference in this world?
Friday on the 700 Club, right here on the Dove TV. You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for Redding and the North State. Seen on KRDT 23, KDRC 26, Channel 16, Channel 29, and these Dove TV affiliates.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. And of course, a lot going on around the world, and in particular, what's going on in Washington, D.C. And not often do we are able to talk to somebody literally inside the Beltway and who is in the know. So we're delighted to have back with us today Jim Dornan. He's a Republican strategist. I've known Jim for quite some time, and he's kind of boots on the ground there to kind of give us an update. So, Jim, good to see you, bud. How are you?
Good to see you, Perry. Good morning. How are things?
Oh, you know, first day of summer, we're going to get rain. It's called Oregon.
we have 105 degrees coming this week.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about. Just overall, kind of a 30,000-foot view. What's the feel in D.C. these days about what's going on with the Middle East and the president maybe putting us involved or not?
I think the feeling, well, actually, I don't think. I know the feeling is Trump is going to probably do it, go in there and bomb Iran. I think that he's been waiting to see what the Israelis done and how successful they've been, frankly. And I think the Israelis surprised a few people because they went in and they weren't caught. They caught the Iranians by surprise. And the Iranians are on their heels right now. And Trump is trying to be good to them, if you will, by offering them an opportunity to get out. But I think they have an ego, and they do not want to be seen as being pushed out on nuclear weapons. And I don't think Trump's going to allow them to have them, period.
Is Republicans united on this, on the Hill?
It's funny you ask that because I was thinking that going into this conversation. The MAGA folks are not. They're ticked. Trump had basically said no more, forever wars. And the traditional Republicans, who we talked a little bit about last week, we got to defend ourselves. And if there's a threat, let's get rid of it. And I think Trump's in a win-win situation, to be honest with you, because he wins no matter what he does. But I think that he's going to wind up taking the Iranians out if they don't agree to some kind of negotiation and settlement on this.
Wall Street Journal says that he has made the decision to do it, but he hasn't given the green light. Do you think that's the general feel?
Yes, I think that's spot on, to be honest with you.
So
and it's the right thing, frankly.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry about that. It's the right thing to do. I mean, as a traditional Republican, they're a threat. I mean, Iran is run by lunatics, frankly, and they need to be stopped, and they're not going to stop on their own.
Okay, so I've asked this question a little bit the last couple of days. Does the president address the citizens of the United States before he does it, after he does it, or while he is doing it?
I'd say either of the last two, while he's doing it or after he's done it. I don't think Trump, I mean, one of the great things about Trump is his ability to negotiate, right? And he doesn't show his cards before he puts them down. And I think that the fact that the Iranians were so caught off guard by the Israelis gave Trump a very good indication of how he should react or how he should act.
In the meantime, we're only a week or so away from the 4th of July, and it was hoped that the big, beautiful bill was going to be as 4th of July fireworks. Is it going to happen?
It is fireworks. This is the problem when you've got a piece of legislation that is this important and this massive. There are so many things that are in there that this congressman or that senator could like or dislike, and you're never going to make everybody happy. So you've got to try to figure out what's going to make the most people happy and do the best for the country. So I think, and react to your party's president, frankly. So I think they'll figure out a way. Johnson has shown an inane ability. I mean, he has just been good to get these things done and to bring, warring sides, if you will, together. So I think I mentioned the blue state Republicans last week, and I think they're going to make them happy with this tax thing. They're going to, fix somehow where they're going to lower the tax rate in the blue states. And I think they'll cut spending like the Ted Cruz's of the world want as well.
So at the end of the day, the motivator of this bill, or I should say one of the key motivators of this bill, is to continue the original tax cuts from the first administration. I mean, that's got to be a big part of the motivation behind this bill.
Absolutely. Trump's a lame duck, as we discussed last week, but he wants a legacy. Every president does, and that's what they usually spend their second term working on. things they want to be remembered by, and Trump will absolutely want to be remembered by permanent tax cuts. And frankly, he's got members of the Ways and Means Committee, which is the tax writing committee in Congress. He's got them behind him, and that's who he needs behind him. And again, they'll figure it out with the spending guys, because right now the spending total is high, and the Congressional Budget Office, which a lot of people will argue one way or the other, is correct with their estimations. They're saying it's going to cost a lot of money, trillions of dollars added to the debt, and those Republican spending hawks, if you will, are going to want to fix that, but they might be placated with a tax cut. So we'll see how it winds up.
In the meantime, the $9.4 billion proposal in the House seems to be going through okay. So that kind of counters that argument, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You will see people flip in a second to get things done, because ultimately the Republicans in Congress want to see the Trump presidency looked at it in a very positive manner, as does Trump, obviously. And I think that they'll fix it in such a way that these guys will go, okay, I guess I can accept that if they do this. Mm-hmm. And that's the way compromise works. I think FDR said, I'm not sure what's worse to watch, how legislation is made or sausage.
Yeah. Looking back over to Minnesota and the first-degree murder of the speaker and her husband, and of course the senator and his spouse were injured, that has raised huge concerns about being public servants at any level. Are you feeling that in D.C.?
Very much so. These guys are worried, and I get it, because this is blatant. I mean, this is done out in the open. The guy was caught within 24 hours. I mean, he didn't pull any punches whatsoever. I mean, he went to their home and he shot him, and that's a tragedy. And that puts anybody who's in elected office and not so elected office vulnerable. And there have been some political jokes about it. I mean, in my opinion, that's uncalled for. This is very serious, and it shows that the level of, level of us versus them is very, very high right now. And I think we need somebody to bring it down, and I think Trump needs to be the one to do that.
So let me ask you this, Jim, maybe you have the answer to this. I don't. Do we know what the political motive is here?
Not yet. I mean, based on the guy's profile, I think it said he didn't think they thought right, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a Trump supporter. Not that I'm blaming Trump by any stretch of the imagination, but he felt like it was okay to get rid of what he considered an obstacle. And that laundry list of senators and congressmen, federal now, not state, was very, very long and very, very distinct. And I think that, again, we need to tone it down a lot in Mississippi.
Reports out the DNC is broke, may have to borrow money to pay the bills. Is that true?
Yes, I have no doubt it is. The DNC is actually very much funded by special interests. Not that the Republicans aren't too, but the DNC has labor. It has a lot of billionaires. Everyone says the Republicans are the rich guys. That's not the case in this case. And they're going. We talked briefly about it last week. They are going way too far out on the left, and people are turned off by them, and especially middle class or blue collar voters. They don't want to talk about transgender all the time. They want to talk about the economy. They want to talk about Iran and Israel and how we're going to protect our country. And right now they are on just a bad path right now, and they really need to get it together, because it's not looking good for them as a political party right now. I don't think they're going away, but I think they need to make some severe changes. And if you watch this leadership fight they've had with the new chairman and then this guy who was a survivor of one of the mass shootings, he's trying to get rid of all people that don't go as far off the edge as they possibly can. And that's no way to run a political party. I mean, it's a compromise even within your own party. I mean, the Republicans have managed to do that very well. Democrats have gone in the exact opposite direction. So that's why they're broke.
There doesn't seem to, they have no one on the bench. I mean, who can pull this out? I mean, you can't even believe that Newsom is going to emerge as be the guy. He'll try, in my opinion, but what has he got to offer?
Well, except for the fact that he's the governor of the largest state in the country, nothing. Again, homelessness is a huge problem out there, and California's got plenty of problems that can be picked on. But as far as the next Republican, the next Democrat, I don't think anybody can come close to Trump. And I think you're going to see a very intense and odd, if you will, political fight in both parties for who's going to carry their mantle. And I don't see either one. I've seen poll numbers that basically said the MAGA people aren't going to vote if Trump's not on the ballot, and he can't be on the ballot this time. So it's going to be a very interesting kind of inner game between the two parties, and ideologically, it's going to be very interesting as well.
Yeah. We can talk about possibilities on that down the road. It's just amazing how this is shaping up. I do want to come back to the president announcing his decision within the next 2 weeks. It would seem to me he can give all the reasons why we're doing it, but how important will it be for him to give an exit plan?
I don't think he's thought that far, to be honest with you, or at least I don't think anything has indicated he's thought that far. I mean, you've got hawks in the Pentagon who are fighting for, yes, let's get rid of them, let's take care of them. But there's no plan. And I think this is what the MAGA folks are worried about is we do this, and then we're going to wind up with Iraq, who had, ISIS created after Saddam fell, and you've got all kinds of possibilities because they're so, all over the map, if you will, on how they want their country run, and the mullahs have a great deal of power, rather. So, your short answer is that's a great question.
Okay, so the other part of that is, it looks like a possibility here. One of the motives for waiting a little bit is when Iran attacked the hospital in Israel, and Netanyahu was right out in front of that and said, hey, we're attacking missile sites and nuclear plants. They're attacking hospitals and killing old and young people. And then the follow-up to that is there has to be regime change. Is it possible that President Trump is waiting for Israel to take out the Ayatollah and then finish the job by going in to Cordoba and finishing wiping out the nuclear plant and facility?
If that was the case, that would have already been discussed, and Israel probably would have done it by now. I think Trump is trying to weigh the ramifications of doing that. I mean, I don't think it's a good habit for this country to get into. It was something we used to do, decades ago, and it just never turns out well in the end. It's got to come from the people. And I think the Iranian people do want a democracy of sorts, and that they're sick of the mullahs.
Yeah.
Okay. They're society. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go too far.
How's the fundraising going at the RNC? If the DNC's out of money, is the RNC raking it in?
I think it is, and I think they're selling on the fact that we need a stronger majority, so we don't have to go through all this Mickey Mouse right now. But we'll see. Again, I think there's a lot of wait and see as to who the next Trump is, if you will.
So, any idea in the Jim mind? You set it up. I got to finish it. Is it a Vance? Is it a Rubio? What is it?
I don't think it's either one of those guys. They just don't have the personality. I don't know if there's anybody on either side. The Democrats have a great bench. I will say that. They've got a couple superstar governors. Will they be allowed to take the mantle? I don't know. And with Trump, I think that everyone's kind of waiting to see who he approves or appoints. I mean, Junior might be on that list for all we know.
Oh, Jim, I just want you to know one thing. Today is National Vanilla Milkshake Day, and if you were here, I'd buy you a big one.
Well, I appreciate that. Right? I love a good vanilla milkshake.
Thanks, friend, for your time. We appreciate it. Look forward to more visits.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime. Good
seeing you later. Bye-bye.
From top home sellers in the Valley with John L. Scott.
To making RV consignment effortless.
American RV, where Team Toner gets your RV sold fast.
Chris Silva understands your home and your commercial buildings are two of the largest investments most people make in a lifetime. One is for your family, the other is to support your family financially. That is why Chris Silva Painting goes the extra mile to protect both homes and commercial buildings with proper painting preparation and high-quality primers and paints. Serving Southern Oregon since 2006, this family-owned and operated business has painted over 1,000 homes. Chris Silva Painting offers an industry-leading 5-year warranty that covers materials and labor on all painting projects. Work for both residential and commercial buildings, both interior and exterior painting. Chris and his crew are courteous, they are efficient, organized, timely, and clean. Chris Silva Painting also offers military discounts. At Chris Silva Painting, our mission statement is to bring Christ's heart and principles to our customers and our job sites. We do that with honesty, integrity, and hard work. We don't cut corners, we paint them. CCB number 176097. Chris Silva Painting, 541-890-3960.
Worried that inflation might burst your retirement bubble? I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. Helping you navigate the stormy seas of retirement, Lighthouse stands tall as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
God's eternal power and divine nature are seen in creation. But in a world blinded by darkness, the Life Outdoors is here to pull back the veil. The mountains don't lie. Truth leads to Jesus. Wake the wild within.
Welcome back, and boy, it's been too long since I've had somebody on from AFA, the American Family Association. I can't say enough about this organization and the work they do and continue to do across the country. They do have a website, afaaction.net, and there's a picture of the landing page. So delighted to have with us today Dr. Jameson Taylor. He's the director of the Center for Government Renewal there at AFA Action, which is the government affairs affiliate of the American Family Association. He also serves as Senior Fellow for the American Family Association, so an honor to have him. Dr. Taylor, good to see you, friend. How are you?
Good to see you, Perry. How are you doing?
Good. It's been a while.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Today's National Vanilla Milkshake Day. Maybe we ought to get together and have one.
I was hoping, I didn't know if it was Donut Day, but I'm hoping something good, as opposed to like Broccoli Day. Broccoli's okay, but hey.
No. First day of summer, it has to be vanilla milkshake, so that's good.
There you go. I didn't know that. All right.
Hey, thanks to you and your organization, all you guys do. This is really great. Thanks for your dedication. I know that you did some research that shows really a concerning disparity, I guess, in Medicaid funding as it relates to abortion. What's your concern there? Can you share it with us?
Yeah, this is a huge concern, and there are three things for your listeners to think about. Three questions they may have about this. So the first question is, what is the problem? What is the scope of the problem that we're talking about here? And basically, you have billion-dollar abortion providers like Planned Parenthood. They have an annual budget of $2 billion. So billion-dollar abortion providers are getting hundreds of millions of government funding from both states and the federal government. They're getting hundreds of millions of dollars in funding to, of course, perform abortions and do all the evil things that they do. At the same time, you have people in your community that are waiting for services, especially through Medicaid, something called the Home and Community-Based Services Program. And in about 40 states, there are waiting lists for these programs. Now, what are we talking about? Most people don't know what home and community-based services is, but if you are a mom of a child, a handicapped child who's waiting for a feeding tube, and you're hoping that Medicaid will pay for that feeding tube, you know about being on the waiting list for home and community-based services. If you are a child of a mother or father who's maybe getting up there in years, and you're trying to take care of them at home where they're more comfortable, you're trying to keep them out of hospice or keep them out of the nursing home, you know about home and community-based services. The problem we have is 700,000 people around the country are on these waiting lists for services through Medicaid. Medicaid, and yet Planned Parenthood is getting $700 million in Medicaid and healthcare funding. So, I mean, this is essentially unjust. Medicaid is supposed to be a program that's serving disabled kids and elderly people, and instead the money is being funneled to billion-dollar abortion providers. So that's the problem that we're talking about today.
Does any of the DOGE investigation bring this up, especially when they're dealing with the $9.2 billion cuts in the House and the big, beautiful bill? I mean, this fits the president's scenario, but it doesn't seem to be on the radar screen.
Well, it is actually on the radar. And so this is something that DOGE has looked at. They've looked at Medicaid funding. They've looked at Title X funding, which is a separate pot of money. They looked at Title V money, which is a separate pot of money. And what they're doing in the One Big Beautiful Bill is they're trying to cut this funding for big abortion providers, $700 million that they're trying to cut in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Now, Planned Parenthood and groups like that, they're out there screaming, hey, we need this money, we need this money. The reality is that even if we cut this funding in the One Big Beautiful Bill, Planned Parenthood and these other groups are still going to be getting plenty of government money. It's just that they're very greedy. They want to take money from disabled kids. They're looking to take money from elderly adults. And what's more important, if we think about what is the One Big Beautiful Bill, we're hearing about this in the news. A lot of people don't really know what it is. Essentially, it's the budget for the United States. And so there are a lot of negotiations going on about what is going to be in this budget. What is the government going to fund? What are they not going to fund? This budget is about whether or not people are going to pay more taxes. Now, I think sometimes you read in the news and think that the One Big Beautiful Bill is cutting taxes. That is not what it is doing. The Trump administration cut taxes already in Trump's first term. What the One Big Beautiful Bill is doing is keeping those tax cuts on the books. So the question comes down for your listeners, and this is how this will affect them. Do you want to pay more in taxes so that big abortion providers with billion-dollar budgets can keep getting more of your money that should be going to disabled kids and elderly adults if we run the Medicaid program correctly? So that's the question. Do you want to pay more in taxes to funnel this money to abortion providers? And, I don't know about you, but even people that are in the middle, independent voters, maybe they don't even care that much about abortion, but they don't want their tax money to go to abortion providers. They just don't want to fund that. So even people that are maybe kind of more neutral on the abortion issue, they definitely don't want their tax dollars going to abortion providers, and they definitely don't want to pay more in taxes, which is what we're talking about. They don't want to pay more in taxes so that they can subsidize billion-dollar abortion providers. So that's what's happening right now in the One Big Beautiful Bill, and what people need to do about it is to call their U.S. senators, call their U.S. congressmen, and tell them stand strong on defunding big abortion providers. We have a report on that. It's at the AFA.net website. You can also go to afaaction.net and learn more as well.
Okay, good stuff all the way around. So I realize one of the great motivations behind the BBB is to keep in place the tax cuts from the first administration and to put them on the track to become permanent. But there was also talk, Dr. Taylor, that while the president is trying to cut things, that there was talk at one time to totally defund Planned Parenthood. Is that anywhere out there?
That's what they're trying to do in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Now, for a few things for people to know. The One Big Beautiful Bill is a completely Republican bill. Anything good in the bill is from Republicans. Anything bad is from Republicans. Now, it's a Republican bill because the way they are passing it, they're doing it in a special way where it only needs Republican votes to pass. Now, for different reasons, that means that they are limited in what they can do. But right now, we're seeing the U.S. Senate is doing the max in terms of defunding big abortion providers in the one big beautiful bill. So the language is actually really good. They're looking to defund big abortion providers for 10 years. That's the most that they can do right now in this bill, but that would be extremely important, and it would be the first time that we have done that as the pro-life movement. So it's very, very important that we keep the language strong in the one big beautiful bill, and that's what people need to tell their senators and their congressmen. Tell them, look, we want strong language in the one big beautiful bill to defund abortion providers. So this is a case where actually Mike Johnson in the House and John Thune in the Senate, who's the Senate Majority Leader, they have done a great job on this issue. What we need to make sure about is that the weaker members of the Republican Party don't peel away. We need to make sure that Planned Parenthood's propaganda does not work. And that's why it's so important to get the word out on this report, because this is about, when Planned Parenthood is getting this money through Medicaid, and Medicaid is a program, a health insurance program that's supposed to serve disabled kids and elderly people. And again, Medicaid is not Medicare. Medicare is something that many of us have paid into already. Medicaid is not Medicare. Medicaid is a welfare entitlement program. And so Planned Parenthood has been getting this money through this welfare program that should instead be going to vulnerable people like the disabled. That's the problem. And right now, actually, Mike Johnson and John Thune and President Trump, they're taking care of this problem. But we need to make sure that the Republicans stand strong and that they don't water down the language. And so that's why AFA has put out an action alert on this. We're going to be putting out state-by-state action alerts. I encourage people to go to afa.net to learn more about this problem. And you can go ahead and email and call your U.S. senators and your congressmen and tell them, stand strong on defunding abortion providers. Because if you don't, this hurts people in your community, and it's also going to increase taxes.
Good stuff. AFAaction.net or AFAnet.net. You can go there. There's the old saying, Dr. Taylor, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So is this like the first bite of the big elephant?
We are hoping so. I mean, the Trump administration has been really good on these issues so far. They're also looking to cut what's called Title X money for Planned Parenthood, but they cannot cut that money in the one big beautiful bill for the different reasons that the way they're passing that special budget, the one big beautiful bill, there are certain rules that apply to it. But separately, the Trump administration is also trying to cut other funding that's going to abortion providers. And people don't realize this, but these abortion providers, as I said, they're greedy. They're getting all kinds of funding that should be going to other organizations in communities to help people. So the Trump administration, though, has been strong. A lot of this is going to go to court, though.
Again, I'm so happy to mention the strong leadership of Speaker Johnson and Majority Leader Thune. Who on the Senate side at the moment are you concerned about?
Well, you're going to have folks that are from states like South Carolina and Ohio, who they're going to need some encouragement, make sure that they pass this bill. Well, one senator who surprisingly has come out raising a lot of questions about the one big beautiful bill is Josh Hawley in Missouri. So Josh Hawley needs calls. Tell him, hey, we want you to support the one big beautiful bill. We want you to defund Planned Parenthood in the one big beautiful bill. You have Ron Johnson in Wisconsin. He's come out against the one big beautiful bill. And the kind of thing to understand is that right now, this is pretty much baked in the cake. So we have to pass the language the way that it is. There's some things in the one big beautiful bill that aren't great, but by and large, it's a really good bill. And one of the best pieces is this defunding of big abortion providers. So I think people just need to call their U.S. senators and congressmen and tell them, hey, stand strong, defund big abortion, pass the one big beautiful bill, and hopefully we can get it passed by July. That's what leadership would like to say. Of course, the Democrats want to slow things down. So because if they slow things down, Trump won't be able to accomplish the other things in his agenda, like good judges. That's one thing, we're not seeing the nominations for judges go through. That's a whole nother issue because right now the Senate is bogged down on the one big beautiful bill. So we need to get that passed as soon as possible so we can pass the other items on the president's agenda.
All right, good stuff all the way around. Again, Dr. Taylor, thank you, friend, for your time and your your strong convictions. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, afaaction.net. There's the picture of that landing page, or you can go to afa.net, the American Family Association. They've been frontline warriors for a long time, and now they got champions like Dr. Taylor there, really out on the front line. So check it out, get the information, check out your state, check out your area, and where they are with this, and like you said, make those phone calls. Thank you, friend. God bless you for what you're doing over there.
Thank you, Perry. Have a great day, and I hope you get a milkshake.
You too.
That's right.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Transformed is a groundbreaking series that every week takes you behind closed doors to witness biblical counseling with real people facing real issues. Watch Mondays and Thursdays only on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. And of course, in the news today is a very difficult topic and yet very alarming, dealing with gender confusion. I am really honored to have with us today Denise Schick. She is the founder and the executive director of Help for Families Ministry, the executive director of Living Stone Ministry. She's the author of 7 children's books and 7 nonfiction books, including My Daddy's Secret, Understanding Gender Confusion, A Faith-Based Perspective, and Transgender Confusion, A Biblical Q&A for Families. She has a BA in psychology and is a certified biblical counselor and life coach. So quite qualified. By the way, the website is Help for, the number 4, Families, helpforfamilies.com. And there's the picture of the landing page. Denise, good to see you. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your time and for what you do. You have indicated that you believe that the number of people self-identifying as transgender is increasing. This also relates to something I had the other day in talking to Dr. George Barna, where young people are self-diagnosing mental health. Is there a correlation?
Yeah, well, there very likely would be. I think a lot of what we're seeing, honestly, is a generation population with our younger people that are lost in a world they don't know who they are. There aren't any definitions that seem to be solid when no one can define what a man or a woman is. They also are allowing their peers, outside influences, to determine whether they have a mental condition, if they have dysphoria, whatever the condition is. I think we also have the effects of what has occurred due to COVID in the isolation, time where the young people were on the computers looking for community.
Wow. You have your background and your own story, I think, will help us to understand why you're in this. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. When I was 9 years old, actually on a summer day, right after school was dismissed, my father had asked me to go outside and to sit with him. Particularly, I had no idea what was going to occur. Obviously, I sat down with him on a small hill behind our garage, and he instantly told me of his desire of wanting to be a woman. I want to be a woman were the words that he had spoken to me that day. Sadly, he also had revealed other details of his life. As a 9-year-old, you're trying to process, what's this mean to me? How does this change my life with what he's saying? I tried to tell myself as a young child that Dad and I were two separate people, therefore it wouldn't affect me. The fact of it being he wanted to become a woman. But I realized right afterwards I was so wrong during that time of conversation with him, because I immediately grieved the loss of a dad. Though he was struggling with this and wanted to be this and was still my dad, he was telling me he didn't want to remain in that role. So what's a child to do in that type of situation? I ended up, in my imagination, adopting different neighborhood men, the peers that I grew up with and the neighborhood kids, pretending that they were my dad for the day. I also had a couple uncles that were very special to me. And so I also, in my mind, had adopted them as a father figure. However, the confusion had carried on. By the time I was 10 and 11 years old, I really started to question if God made a mistake. Maybe Dad should have been a woman. But if God made one mistake, then Denise, how do you know that you were supposed to be a girl? So trying to walk out that type of confusion in the home for a couple years of what that really meant and what that looked like. And I really can't explain to you what occurred. I just remember one particular day where I was in my bedroom and just reflecting on all of this and thought, if I believe God made one mistake with my dad, and then he made another mistake with who I was, where do you believe those mistakes end? And I truly, in that reflection, realized that I don't believe God makes mistakes. But the journey continued as my dad remained in the home for several years yet. The struggle as I started to mature young, some of the things that had happened in the home. And by the time I was in 8th grade, I remember particularly saving my babysitting money, my lunch money, everything for alcohol to try to numb the pain of what I was living in and to escape. Also had seriously considered suicide. What really feared me is not being successful in that suicide attempt.
Wow. Boy, there's a lot here. Did your dad end up transitioning?
He did. He had left our family when I was 28 years old and transitioned to become who is known as Becky, the name that he had taken on, and to live that life for 13 years. A lot of what I learned, well, let me back up. As a 9-year-old, I understood that my dad and his dad did not get along. So my grandfather and him, there was a lot of conflict, a lot of dysfunction in his family particularly. I already recognized that I had a grandmother that was an alcoholic, and there was some physical, really mental abuse that had occurred in the home. But what I didn't know until that particular day that he had shared with me is that he was sexually molested as well. So as a 9-year-old, I'm processing this, that he's wanting to escape.
Okay. So let me fast forward a little bit. At what point did you and God get connected, if I can put it that way? And
yeah, you sure can.
At when?
So I was raised Catholic, and I am so thankful for that because it gave me the understanding of God, of who he was, the reverence for God. But when I became really connected on a personal level, would have been when I was 15 years old, when I was dating a young man that was a Christian, and he introduced me to the idea of having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And that was all new for me. But there was something inside of me that was so hungry to have what he had. And so it was through that relationship where I'd come to the Lord.
Beautiful. All right. There's so much here. We're going to have to get you back. But let me ask you this. This gender confusion is just skyrocketing. It's just an amazing phenomenon that's happening. And I realize a lot of it maybe stems from childhood PTSD issues. I mean, your dad's case, he was molested. But also, it seems to be moving into the area with young people as being a fad or the power of suggestion. Is that true?
Yes, it is. I'll never forget it was actually 10 years ago when I had heard of the first case where 3 girls that were always friends from childhood were now in high school, and all 3 of them were wanting to transition. And that is not the normal for what was renamed as gender dysphoria. So there was something going on among the young people, if their friends doing it or if it's being insinuated that they should consider it, that you're really, maybe you're really a boy, just the power of suggestion among peers.
Okay. Well, we could deal a lot with that. One other quick question, then I'll take a break and come back. I guess the other thing that has my brain on tilt with this whole issue is why? Why has the medical community embraced it?
You know, I don't have maybe the answer that some would think that I have. I've always considered this as a money-making avenue. You know, the individual that's on, if it's a young person, puberty blockers, everything that's got to be done, especially if they have what's now called gender affirmation surgery. They're on estrogen or testosterone the rest of their life. A lot of these folks, sadly, are on antidepressants, anxiety medications. So it's constantly filling the pockets of those in the medical field that are practicing this.
Okay, let me take a quick break. We'll get Denise back here. We got more to talk about. Her website is helpforfamilies.com. There you can check out a lot what she's involved in, and that also check out her books, My Daddy's Secret, Understanding Gender Confusion, Faith-Based Perspective, and Gender Confusion, All Biblical Q&As for Families. Very timely, backed by experience. This is a classic example of something we say often here. Whatever God saves you from brings you through. He turns around and makes you a minister too. And such is the case with Denise. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Tackling the tough issues facing America and our nation's freedom. That's Sekelo on the Dove TV.
DAs around the country finding who they want to prosecute.
A bold half hour hosted by ACLJ's Jordan and Logan Sekelo, taking you inside the battle of constitutional and political freedom, discussing issues that matter to you and your family.
No one that should or want to run for president will end up running for president.
Be in the know with Sekelo on the Dove TV.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
If you are tired, that means I get fed up. I am tired of living the way I'm living. If you're tired from carrying heavy loads, if you're not tired of trying to solve all the problems by yourself, Jesus can't help you. So let me ask you, are you tired? Are you tired of running on empty? Are you fed up with the emptiness that you've been feeling in your life? And are you willing to do something about it? As I said, we don't change until we feel the heat. You have to come some point in your life where you go, I have had enough. I refuse to live this way any longer.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Okay, welcome back, and honored to have with us today Denise Schick. She is the founder and the executive director of Help for Families Ministries, and she's also the executive director of Living Stone Ministries. And you can go to help4families.com and check out a lot of information there. I think you find very, very beneficial, very resourceful, and check out her books. Oh boy, there's so much here. I guess the other part of this question about transitioning, Denise, has got my brain on till how did it become curriculum in public schools?
That's a good question. I think probably some of what's happened are individuals that struggled with these issues or were more of what you might say the activist type of the LGBT community. However, I believe that it's hurting individuals that are in our schools and in the communities, the educational systems that have pushed this forward because of what they wish or how they think things would have been better for them. It has slowly slipped in. I can recall about 11, 12 years ago where I was invited to speak at a school board meeting in Illinois. And at that time, this was already slipping in. When I say it, meaning that a child was coming to school getting dressed into the one restroom as a girl, and the parents were not notified. And so obviously when this became out in the open, this was the cause for the board meeting. Mm-hmm. During that specific board meeting, it was also able to see how the individuals, the board members, really did not want to hear what myself or other individuals that were very well qualified to speak into this. We were dismissed. So this has been a number of years ago.
The Tennessee case that was ruled in the Supreme Court just a couple of days ago, that's pretty significant, don't you think?
It is. I think that it should be a sigh of relief. That things are turning for the better, especially in protecting children. If an adult wants to transition, they have a free will to do so. But this is what is going on in our world is the worst case of child abuse. I never could have imagined that children would be used for this type of propaganda.
Yeah. Then the other part of it is, it's kind of like the whole argument dealing with abortion. We deal a lot with this argument to prevent it, but we don't really take the time to deal with post-abortion syndrome, which is very, very real. And you can take that same scenario over to this, post-transition trauma and regret. Yes. And this is being buried, but it's very real, isn't it?
It is very real, and there's a growing number of individuals that are detransitioning, or to me, I guess you could say detransitioning, but really taking their life back. And yet, what is the support system for these folks? Generally, it's pretty difficult for them when they decide to no longer live or identify as transgender. They are bullied. Individuals that are transgenders or part of a certain community will insist, well, then you never were. They lose their community. So if they are leaving the life or the identity as a transgender person, the hope is that the church, that good, solid, godly, healthy people would come alongside of them to be their friend, to disciple them, to be a part of their new community.
Is it true, and this is a little bit rhetorical, but is it true that gender reassignment surgery lowers the person's risk of suicide?
No, it isn't. And this is the thing, is that if people would look at the studies and what do the studies mean, but good solid studies, not something that somebody has put together. When these studies are done correctly, in the Sweden study that I'm referring to that has come out, and the latest one I believe was in 2014, that again is stating that the individuals, when they are put in the category of the study, so it can be somebody that identifies as transgender, it can be in that study those that have gone all the way by having the different sex affirmation surgeries on testosterone, or those that are just living the life. The fact is they are still at a higher rate, 3 times a rate higher than the regular population of considering suicide, and 3 times more. That is a high rate. Mm-hmm. The question is if having surgery and doing everything that they're doing to look for that fulfillment, as my dad called it, or looking for an easier, a way to escape the pain, it's not working. It's, to me, this is an issue of the heart.
Okay, to that point, where is the psychological community in this, or is it being bypassed just for the sake of mental health?
Well, I think in the past it's been bypassed, and there's been some fear to take ground, to say anything. But again, I believe with what we're seeing, the turn, just as the Tennessee, the recent decision, the idea that everybody is picking up on what's going on with women's sports, they're seeing what has really been occurring and where we are. And so saying that there are now those in the psychology field that I think are feeling maybe a little bit more braver about standing against this and speaking against it. And again, particularly for children here.
Earlier, we talked a little about, you did, about the church's involvement here, and I couldn't agree more. And it's really interesting. Youth pastors are no longer worried about car washes and barbecues. They actually have young people coming to them with these issues. I mean, it's a whole nother level. And I guess my question would be, if a Christian parents are now dealing with this, their child is coming home and they're being influenced, the power of suggestion, the fad of all of this, and they're toying with the idea of transitioning, what should that Christian parent do?
I think one of the things that's important for them to remember is don't make the everyday dinner conversation or breakfast conversation about transgender, the subject matter, because there's more to their child than how they may be identifying as. So what we want to work on as parents in these type of situations is work on your relationship with them. Spend as much time with them as you can. We all do the best that we can, but we can also make sure that the role model that we're giving them about identity, who we are as a man and a woman, as mom and dad, that is playing out in a healthy view as well for the child to experience. Sometimes we can say everything that we can't do, but honestly, when we look at what we can do as parents or grandparents, we can be empowered to be able to speak into that child's life, to praise them for their unique giftings and talents, to surround them in healthy ways, healthy relationships.
Because, as you well know, the state's attempt to get between parent and child is unbelievable.
Yes.
But is an intervention ever a possibility?
There have been some families I know, just a few that have gone to other states, that have actually moved to other states that were safer than where they were because of the particular state they were in the access when they noticed when their child had come out to them as transgender, and they basically fled their home state to get their child the help that they felt that child needed. And that is really sad, isn't it, when we have a state that's overriding what a parent believes is best for their child.
Of course, social media is a big part of this, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Our children are on social media way more than what we can even realize. I have grandchildren, and, when they come to the house, it's like the cell phones go down. We're going to have relationship time here. But just in general, never could I have thought that teenagers would have a phone. You know, I remember the day when I was limited to 15 minutes on the telephone that hung on the wall. I know things have, times have changed, but I do believe that we have rights as parents to limit their use on cell phones or on the computer with the social media. Social media is driving this force as well.
The other part of this is back to the medical community just for a moment, and I don't know if this is true, you're the expert, but they don't teach this in medical school, so therefore these transition surgeries are somewhat experimental. Is that true?
Yeah. And that's where some of the detransitioners have even said, you know, that they were used for somebody else to test their way of what they thought they could do with man and woman. But particularly, you know, that's the way that you would feel, right? Like a test rat in a sense, and not to have the thoughtfulness of what you are doing and how you are changing this person's life.
Because hormone treatment is a big deal, but isn't this kind of like chemistry experiments?
Yeah, it is. When you think that our body would work against, my body would work against the testosterone. That wouldn't be the natural chemicals. So the reaction, the sad thing here too, is that as the older people that had transitioned and now, you know, have detransitioned, they are finding that they are having a lot of different physical situations where their physicians are saying to them that this is the consequences of what they've done to their bodies.
Wow. So I guess, Denise, one of the big questions, I only got about a minute left. Where do you think this is going? I mean, is it reached the wall, or we still got some growth here? Where do you think this is?
Well, I think in the next couple of years that we're going to feel like we're regaining some ground again of normalcy and what is okay and what isn't, and what's the best for children particularly. I believe where we go after that is probably up to our government, the political leaders, and where they take us. As God's people, what we need to remember is that there's a lot of hurting people in the world, and they need Jesus just like any of us had and still do.
Wow, good stuff. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, first of all, Denise's website is helpforfamilies.com. There's the picture of the landing page. A couple of resources I think you'll find to be really good. We'll give you some, some guardrails here. Her book about her father, My Daddy's Secret, Understanding Gender Confusion, and A Faith-Based Perspective. And Gender Confusion, it's a biblical Q&A. And boy, this is so timely. You may want to check that out. Are those available online?
They are.
Okay, so you can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, check it out, or go through her website, helpforfamilies.com. Denise, you're fascinating. I think you have a lot more to share. We'll get you back. I want to say thank you for being obedient to the Lord's call to take your life's experience and help other people. This is really good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Okay, God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Live the adventure with Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions. Discover your wild side in the heart of the Pacific Northwest with Hellgate's high-speed spins, stunning Rogue River scenery, and incredible wildlife sightings. It's an experience like no other. Plus, you can enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, a place where families connect, friends